Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the What If Guy, back with another fanfiction. This is the movie of What If Issei Almost Dies on a Date. Now before starting, please give this video a like, and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Rainer deserved this. She had spent countless centuries completing her missions, faithfully getting results and proving her dedication time and time again. It seemed that all of that hard work had finally paid off. She had been summoned to stand before the highest level of leadership within the Grigori, the High Council. They lauded her skills, praised her unwavering commitment, and then handed her a brand new mission which was to serve as the perfect opportunity to leave a favorable impression on her superiors and secure her place as a contender for a promotion and a new set of wings. Nothing was of more importance than proving herself useful to the Grigori and raising her status within the fallen angel community. Normally an order that came from the top dealt with assassination, sabotage, or maybe a little seduction, but this was mostly surveillance. That was indeed strange. Rainer would admit, however, that her own curiosity had been piqued as she skipped through the manila folder assigned to her new target, the human known as Issei. Any human who had managed to garner the interest of the Grigori's highest members would more than likely be a possessor of a powerful sacred gear. Would he be recruited then? It wasn't impossible. There were several whispers in the underworld that the fallen angel sect had a habit of taking on promising youngsters as their pupils. The rumors implied that the purpose of such a project was to ensure that the fallen angels had an undeniable advantage if another great war were to happen. With all these factors in mind, she had decided that she would take this mission very seriously. She would be cautious. She would be precise. She would be deceptive. She would be utterly disappointed. Despite the air of importance and secrecy that surrounded this boy, Issei was nobody special. Just another average-looking, perverted, hormone-fueled teenager who had easily fallen for the "I want to be your girlfriend, so let's go out" ruse. To make matters worse, the sacred gear hidden in his body wasn't even particularly noteworthy. There was barely any sign of magical potency in his aura. It didn't take long for her to make a decision concerning him. There was no way she was going to waste her time on this child when she had several other side projects that could use her attention. She would eliminate Issei in order to free herself from this mission and to also negate the tiny possibility of him becoming a threat in the future. Sacred gear users were often killed if the leaders thought that the chances of them losing control and going on a rampage were very high, but she wasn't interested in waiting on a verdict from them concerning this one. The date she had used as her chance to get close to her target and to complete her assessment was almost over. To his own credit, Issei may have been a mindless perv, but he had done his best to keep her well pleased during the evening's activities. Was it still a little boring? Yes, but it certainly wasn't the worst date she'd ever been on. Perhaps a human girl would have enjoyed it more, or someone who was actually interested in him like that. It didn't matter though. Issei wouldn't be going on any more dates after this. Rainer spoke softly as she turned to face Issei. The park was mostly empty in the evening hours, as most people were either at home or enjoying the luxuries of the city. "Do you mind doing me a favor to commemorate our first date, Issei-kun?" The brown-haired teen blushed as he scratched the back of his head. Rainer mentally chuckled at his shyness. Little perv probably thinks I want a kiss or something. Sure, Yuma-chan, what kind of favor? Could you die, please? Issei blinked a few times. What? Rainer smiled sweetly as she transformed, proudly displaying her black wings and her far more curvaceous figure to the young man in front of her. "I did enjoy our time together, and I will certainly treasure this little gift you bought for me, but all good things must come to an end." A red spear of holy light crackled to life in Rainer's outstretched hand. "Sorry about this. It's best you die before you become a threat to us. If you want to blame anyone, blame God for putting a sacred gear inside your body." Rainer lunged forward, her weapon pointed at its target, burying itself deep into the abdomen of Issei. Well, it was supposed to bury itself into his abdomen. Crack. Rainer's eyes widened as she watched her spear's tip break off and dissipate. Issei's shirt had been sliced open by her attack, but his body was still very much intact. The teen sighed. "Damn it, Mom had bought this ugly shirt for our date, you know." Rainer slowly lifted her gaze to meet her target's eyes. They were still the same brown color, but now they had the sharp, calculating gaze of a well-trained warrior. The youthful spark that once defined his gaze was long gone. She slowly took a few steps back as she felt several waves of energy ripple within Issei's body. Where was this power coming from? What? But your sacred gear isn't even. So things are finally moving forward, huh? Issei smirked, and Rainer felt like she was a deer standing face to face with a hungry roaring lion. Word of advice, Yuma-chan, the next time you're gonna kill a guy on his first date, at least offer him a handjob first. She couldn't move. Her instincts were begging, screaming for her to leave, but his eyes kept her rooted to the spot. Even her breathing had slowed down. Step by step, Issei drew closer to her until they were face to face. "I assume that there is a person that you answer to. A superior. Can you contact them and bring them here?" Rainer shuddered as she felt herself nod a few times. Her body was responding without her consent. "Good. Let them know that I'd like to have a little chat." DXD. The moment Rainer activated the emergency summoning matrix, she received an answer. And it wasn't just anybody. It was the general of the Grigori himself, Azazel. His trademark smug expression ever in place. It was almost as if he had been expecting her call. Issei took a few seconds to look Azazel up and down before turning to Rainer. You sure this is the right guy? He looks more like one of those gay super suave fashion designers than a demon. Azazel chuckled heartily. I'm sure I'm not the only one here who makes questionable clothing choices. That shirt you're wearing is atrocious. Issei's left eyebrow twitched as he pointed an accusatory finger at Azazel. Hey, my mom bought me this ugly shirt. A few seconds of silence passed before Issei sighed. Ah, well played, sir. Azazel smiled as he unfolded his black wings. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the fallen angel Azazel, leader of the Grigori and one of this young lady's superiors. Issei took a second to ponder as he glanced at Rainer's black wings. Fallen angels? Huh, that's interesting. My apologies for thinking you were demons. I am Issei Hudo. Do you mind if we have a word in private, Azazel? Azazel complied with the request without hesitation as he and Issei disappeared into a darker area of the park, leaving a very confused Rainer behind. The XD. A few hours after she had been left alone, the mysterious power that had bent Rainer to Issei's will had slowly ebbed away, leaving her exhausted but relieved to be in control of her body again. The fallen angel would have used her remaining strength to hastily follow after Azazel to warn him of Issei's strange powers if she had not sensed them already coming back towards her. Wait. Why was there a third presence? Both Azazel and Issei had small smiles on their faces. Issei seemed tired yet relaxed. Azazel seemed wary and cautious, yet they were both still smiling. In Issei's hand was a red scaly lizard-like creature, the size of a parrot. It didn't seem to be in much pain despite the fact that Issei was holding it by the neck. I'd like to thank you again for your help, Azazel-san. You've made things much easier for me. Azazel glanced at the creature in Issei's hand before responding. I suppose that I should be the one thanking you, considering what I've learned tonight. Don't mention it. Let's just both scratch our respective backs, yay. And remember, let's keep this on a need-to-know basis, only the top guns. Azazel nodded. Of course, they will want to meet you themselves though. Issei sighed. Of course, when the time is right. There were too many questions running through Rainer's head as the men finally came to stand before her again. But one remained preeminent. Where did Issei Hudo get this type of power? Rainer. Hearing Azazel call her name was enough to pull the raven-haired female out of her thoughts. She focused all of her attention on her general. I'm disappointed that you saw it fit to take matters into your own hands and eliminate a sacred gear user without permission, especially when your mission was to be of an observatory nature. Rainer gulped. There were many dark rumors of what Azazel did to those that disappointed him. Nevertheless, I'm giving you another chance. I have a new very important mission for you. Rainer mentally sighed in relief. Hopefully this new challenge would keep her locked away in the Grigori library or have her visiting the bars and brothels of the underworld. It didn't matter, anything that would keep her away from. You will be serving Issei Hudo as his personal attendant and bodyguard. What? Rainer's eyes bugged out as Azazel continued. Consider his every order as if it was a direct command from me. Assist and advise him in his endeavors. Be his eyes and ears on the ground. Rainer slowly nodded under Azazel's withering gaze. I accept, sir. Good. Azazel once again glanced at the red lizard in Issei's hand. Issei followed his line of sight before smiling. Oh right, I guess I should introduce you too. Rainer, this is my sacred gear. The Red Dragon Emperor, Lizzie the Lizard. Lizzie, this is Rainer, our brand new bodyguard that just tried to kill us a few hours ago. The scaly creature within Issei's grasp spoke. Partner, please, I've told you before that my name is Deidre. Your name is Lizzie because I say so, damn it. It's your fault I'm in this damn mess anyways. Be happy I haven't made you into boots or a suitcase yet. Rainer blinked a few times as Issei and the Red Dragon Emperor continued their argument. She slowly turned her gaze back at Azazel, who gave her a sheepish grin. Well, it could be worse, right? Rainer watched with morbid fascination as Issei attempted to wring the mini dragon's neck. She would spend a good portion of the next few days reassuring herself that her general's previous statement was right. What did she do to deserve this? That's it. Please review, fav, alert, and share this story. Rainer lazily stifled a yawn as she took her seat at a black marble-top table in the corner of the room. The pastry shop that Issei had chosen as their rendezvous point for today was situated not too far away from his school. The building itself was a little on the small side, but the scents that saturated the air were pleasant enough to keep one solely focused on the delicacies that were on sale. She would restrict herself to just ordering a vanilla milkshake this time. She had a personal rule of not fully indulging certain appetites while she was working. She had a gut feeling that her new job as caretaker for Issei would be far from simple. That brat was becoming more and more of a mystery to her. Last night after Azazel's departure, Issei had launched into an impromptu interrogation session asking her questions about several different people, places, and things connected to the mystical world. His questions were a mix of being alarmingly specific and intrusive, silly and outrageous, and were even sometimes perverted and idiotic. But this only confused her more. The Issei Hudo she had been watching for the past few weeks had not openly shown this level of maturity nor intelligence. For a professional who had excelled in the field of reconnaissance, she had utterly failed at seeing past the mental facade of a 16-year-old boy. not leaving out the fact that this 16-year-old was the bearer of the Great Red Dragon Emperor's boosted gear, one of the most powerful sacred weapons on the planet. Another detail she had easily missed. For her own reputation's sake, she would have to keep this embarrassment a secret from Donasek and the others. Speaking of them, she needed to find some time to make contact with her colleagues so they could share information again. The last time they had spoken as a group, Calla Warner had reported that she had found an ancient machine in an old Colombian temple that was rumored to be capable of removing one's sacred gear. It was her intention to have it brought to Japan in order to cultivate the vast number of sacred gears in the region, adding strength to the Grigori. Originally, the greater factions of the underworld had discredited the devices themselves as simple relics and that the stories of their power were just that. Stories. But during the early stages of the Great War, a special squad of Heaven's Seraphim raided the mansions of some very powerful high-class devils and had destroyed enough of these relics to have the mystical community thinking twice. Flashes of a memory passed before her eyes as she recalled hearing one of her cherubim commanders highlighting the dangers that such tools could pose to heaven and the balance of the mystical word. A sour expression crossed Rainer's face. She didn't like thinking about her time in heaven. She quickly masked her expression as a waiter placed her previously ordered vanilla milkshake in front of her. "Here you go, miss." The teenage face of Amano Yuma smiled brightly at the worker. Rainer had decided to stick with the undercover identity. "Thank you so much." The young male worker blushed and nodded a few times before going off to serve the other customers, always sparing a glance at her whenever he could. Rainer mentally chuckled. She would probably start getting free milkshakes at this place if she played her cards right. Humanity had failed at almost everything they had put their hand to during their time on the earth, but comfort food was one of the things they had gotten right. She would probably only admit to herself that the delicacies of the human world was one of her guilty pleasures. It was a good thing humans were so easy to manipulate and control. Free pizza would not be possible otherwise. As she took a few sips of her treasured milkshake, Rainer glanced at time on her smartphone's screen. Issei should have been here by now. What the hell was taking that idiot so long? "Forgive me for interrupting your milkshake." Rainer slowly looked up, half annoyed with herself that she had been caught off guard. It was a high school boy from Kyo Academy, a very handsome devil high school boy to be exact. Rainer narrowed her eyes. It wasn't any secret that the majority of the area belonged to the devils, but she was sure this place was classified as neutral ground, which meant that she wasn't trespassing. And to make matters even more interesting, the devil boy was not alone. There was a short white-haired girl standing near the entrance, and she could sense two other presences nearby. Now Rainer was fully annoyed with herself. Had she been so wrapped up in thought that she didn't take notice of any of this happening? It was best that she played her cards very carefully right now. She had no interest in starting a fight. Azazel had specifically told her to keep a low profile, and starting a fight with a group of devils in a place packed with humans was not in any shape or form keeping a low profile. Hopefully these devils were just being a little territorial and weren't hot-headed or stupid. Rainer tilted her head. "Yes, can I help you?" At that moment each patron slowly stood up and exited the pastry, seemingly lost in a world of their own. Rainer could easily tell that it was the use of mind manipulation magic. They wanted to have the shop to themselves. Not many devils had the skill or power to use this level of magic. Who were these kids? The devil boy bowed politely, which had earned a look of genuine curiosity from Rainer. "My name is Kiba Yudo. Our king would like to have a word with you." His king. And that is when Rainer noticed the small insignia on the boy's collar. It was the seal of one of the most powerful, influential, and financially stable devil households, the Gremmery clan. "Oh crap, DXD. I would like to express my gratitude to you for agreeing to meet with me on such short notice." "Yay, right, as if I actually had a choice in the matter." Rainer's facial expression did not reflect her thoughts as she graced Riaz, the heiress of the Gremmery clan, with a coy smile. "It would be uncouth of me to reject an invitation from the heiress of such a respected devil clan as the Gremmery." Riaz returned the shallow smile as she and another girl, a long-haired brunette who was most likely her queen, took the empty seats right across from the fallen angel. Wait, was this Barraquil's daughter? The one who became a devil? "Aquino, can I get you anything else? A cinnamon bun perhaps? It's one of our shop specialties." Rainer responded promptly to Ria's inquiry. "No, I'm quite all right. To be honest, I'm more concerned about the subject of this little meeting of ours than your delicious cinnamon buns. Since when has this shop belonged to the devils? Have they been expanding their territory? But all the workers are human. A devil-owned shop with an all-human staff, that's quite clever." Riaz nodded. "Yes, that's quite understandable. Let's get down to business then." The mood changed. Rainer could feel it. She was no longer having a light conversation. She was about to play verbal chess with a demon heiress that was known for being sharper than many of her peers. 6 weeks ago, a student of Kyo Academy who was also a servant of the Citri clan went missing in this area while carrying out her duties. The investigation itself had been at a standstill due to a lack of credible information and evidence as to what may have happened. Rainer listened keenly. There was a reason the Gremmery clan heiress was sharing this information. Last night another one of their servants was again carrying out duties in this area when they were attacked by an unknown assailant. The devil was severely injured but managed to escape with his life. After investigating the scene of the attack, we found this. Aquino produced a small brown pouch and emptied its contents onto the table. Black feathers. Not just any black feathers from the wings of a fallen. They were fresh too, feathers that fell from the wings of a fallen dissolved into dust after a day or so passed, which meant that there was a decent amount of credibility to the heiress story. The fallen angel concluded Ria's argument for her. And since I'm a fallen angel that has been spotted near devil territory after last night's incident, I'm being considered as a suspect, correct? Rias responded to the question. Even you would have to admit that the circumstances are just a bit too coincidental for us to overlook them. Rainier nodded, not only because she agreed but because understood how serious of a situation this was. It was one thing for a devil that belonged to a powerful clan to be attacked in a foreign environment, but to have it happen in a territory that was owned by the heiress of one of the few pure-bleed clans left was absolutely unacceptable for her in the devil hierarchy. As a fallen angel, she had no qualms about terminating devils. She didn't have a raging fetish for it like many of the others, but she had killed just as many of them as the opportunities presented themselves. The hard truth, however, was that an attack of this nature in such an area was not doing the Grigori any favors. There was a reason why Azazel had ordered them not to attack the important, powerful, and well-connected members of the mystical society unprovoked. The fallen angel faction was in no way ready to stand toe-to-toe with any of the major factions or groups. Whoever was doing this had an agenda, a breathtakingly stupid agenda, but an agenda all the same. It was almost as if the culprit wanted to start another war. That little shit. Raina refocused onto the task at hand. She could confirm her suspicions later. This was the type of incident that people often wanted to see resolved quickly, even if that meant someone would have to serve as a scapegoat. She would not allow herself or the Grigori to suffer needlessly. Her next words would have to be chosen carefully. I understand that under these circumstances you are hard-pressed to resolve this issue in a manner pleasing to your elders, but I assure you that neither I nor the Grigori are the ones responsible for the death of the Citri clan's servants. A few seconds passed in silence before Rainier continued. My appearance in such close proximity to your territory is mostly coincidental. Rias frowned and Rainier felt like she had just voluntarily slammed her head into a bear trap. Ordinarily I would want to give you the benefit of the doubt, but I know for a fact that you being here isn't mere coincidence at all. Ria's queen pulled out a small envelope and slid it across the table to Rainier. The fallen angel eyed the package warily before slowly opening it. The envelope's soul was a picture. The place looked familiar. It was from yesterday. It was a picture of her in ... Oh no. Rias leaned forward just a little, her demonic energy barely rippling around her fingertips. Please tell me about the Grigori's interest in Issei Hudu. If you are not the ones targeting and attacking our students, then why do I find evidence of a Grigori agent interacting regularly with one? Is he supposed to be next on your list? The energy that was only at Ria's fingertips swiveled inside her entire frame. If any harm comes to him, I assure you that your head will be one of the first to roll. Rainier gulped heavily. If it did come down to a fight, she was certain that she could defeat most of the Gremmery heiress peerage. Her biggest concerns were of course Baraquil's daughter and Rias herself. The fallen angel captain would surely kill her if she did any permanent damage to his daughter, and even though she wasn't sure she could beat Rias in a fight, she was even more that her older brother, Serzech, one of the four Satans, would hunt her down to the ends of the realms if any serious harm came to his little sister. She was completely screwed. Rias didn't seem to be as patient as she was before. I'm still waiting on an answer, Fallen. Rainier cringed at the authoritative tone that Rias now possessed. If she was going to live through this, she needed a way out. An answer, an alibi, a distraction, something, anything. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. 3 pair of eyes blinked in surprise as the door to the pastry shop swung open. The new entrant was familiar to each person sitting at the table, mostly because he was the topic of discussion at the time. Before any of 3 females could speak, Issei presented his brightest smile. Hey Rei-Chan, I'm sorry I'm late. Rias and Aquino glanced at each other as Rainier's eye ticked. Rei-Chan, like seriously, ding-a-ling-a-ling. The door burst open again as the knight that introduced himself earlier and the short white-haired girl rushed in. The knight quickly drew his sword of its hilt as he faced Issei. Forgive us, President. This guy somehow slipped past us without even making a sound. Issei chuckled. Don't blame yourself, pretty boy. I spent a good chunk of time borrowing my dad's credit card to buy porn. Being sneaky is just one of many cultivated talents. The white-haired girl frowned. You really are a huge pervert, aren't you? Issei nodded. I am. But I guess you're a little too young to see the beautiful themes portrayed in the performance of adult erotica, shorty. The girl blushed, but her frown remained. Rias took the opportunity to speak. Issei Hudu. My name is Rias Gremmery, a 4th year at your high school and president of the Occult Research Club. Issei continued. You are also one of the hottest girls on campus, a straight-A student, the heiress to the Gremmery clan of devils, and overseer of the town of Kyo, correct. If Rias was surprised, she didn't show it. I see ... You know about the existence of the different supernatural factions. Issei nodded as he patted his stomach. Yeah, I was introduced to it rather violently. Rainier had the decency to blush and look away. Issei continued as he stood closer to Rainier, paying very little attention to Kiba and his sword. I understand that you girls were having a very important conversation about whoever has been attacking those other devils. Rainer may be a bit of a bitch, but I'm sure she's not the one doing it. Akino titled her head in curiosity. You were eavesdropping with the use of magic. Issei smiled. Hello Akino-senpai. Let's just say I have a heightened sense of hearing. Rias interjected. Is that one of the abilities of your sacred gear? Issei actually seemed surprised. You can actually sense Lizzie inside of me. I'm quite impressed. Akino blinked. Lizzie, Kiba was the one to interrupt this time. You said that you knew for a fact that the fallen angel was innocent? How? Issei smirked. Simple. She's my girlfriend. It is said that an individual should learn something new every day. And on this day Issei learnt that Rainer had a pretty solid left hook. All eyes bugged out as Rainer sent Issei to the ground with a punch that would make Mike Tyson proud. I'm not your girlfriend, you little perv. Issei grumbled as he rubbed his sore jaw. You weren't saying that when I was buying you food on our date. Why, you little. Rainer prepared to deliver more of her terrible feminine justice when Issei countered. You know, you're probably not making a good argument for your innocence while attempting to murder me in front of my schoolmates. Rainer blinked and slowly turned back to look at Rias, who seemed to be a mixture of amused, confused, and irritated. Issei had taken the chance to pull himself to his feet. And people say that the art of conversation is dead. Rainer tried to silence him with a fiery state, but the brown-haired teen ignored it. As I was saying, I spent the majority of last night with Rainer doing couple stuff. There's no way she was the assailant from last night, and after my conversation with the leader of the Grigori, I'm sure that they have no interests in attacking random devils and starting a war. Rias folded her arms under her impressive bosom. Even if that is true, it doesn't change the fact that we have a fallen angel or a group of fallen angels out there causing trouble for all of us. Issei nodded. I agree, and that's why I'm suggesting that we. DXD. Rainer sat silently on a chair in Issei's bedroom, watching him intently as he sat cross-legged on the floor meditating. Something on your mind, Ray-Ray-chan? Stop calling me that. Nah, I like it, but if you want to stop me, you could always try killing me again. Rainer buried her face into her palms. Don't tempt me. Another minute of silence passed before the fallen angel spoke again. Why did you suggest to those devils that we could help them? No thank you for saving your well-shaped butt back there. Rainer growled. Right, answering your question. You're an information specialist, Rainer. I'm sure you've already narrowed down the possible suspects to a list of people or a specific person. Rainer narrowed her eyes. This guy was sometimes really surprising. If we help the devils that oversee QO, it will make it easier for me to carry out my business and will help the relations between the Grigori and the devils. And that is your mission, right? To help me accomplish my goals. Plus, it was the only way they were going to let us out of that pastry store without a fight. Rainer sighed heavily. All I'm going to do is check a few sources before confirming my suspicions and passing that information on. The rest is up to them. Issei nodded. That should be enough. There was more silence, and Rainer found herself still staring holes in the back of Issei's head. Something else, Ray-Ray-chan. Rainer would learn to ignore the nickname for now. What are your goals anyway? Issei slowly turned to face her. There was something about his presence that reminded her of Azazel. Powerful yet calm, yet dangerous, yet harmless, yet. She tried not to be caught up in his aura as he whispered 5 words that made her spine shiver. To keep us all alive. And he said that its name was Lizzie. Rias nodded in the affirmative as she slowly descended into the warm embrace of the Citri clan hot spring. She could literally feel the bubbling water slowly relieving the aches and pains that the problems of the past weeks had brought on. She would need to invest into one of these for herself soon enough. Yes, I checked a few of my family's sources, but none of them have ever heard of a sacred gear with such a silly name. It's more than likely an alias. Sona, the heiress of the Citri clan and the QO Academy's student council president, frowned as she tried to not pay too much attention to her longtime friend's rather impressive bust. That would make sense. There is a strong possibility that Issei's sacred gear is quite powerful and even a bit dangerous if the Grigori saw it fit to have one of their agents following him about. Rias once again nodded. Her face was now covered with a small white towel as she comfortably laid her head on a small pillow at the water's edge. Her name is Rainer. Despite her attitude and treatment of Issei, they seem rather close to each other. Perhaps the Grigori want to draft him into their ranks. Sona stole another short glance at Ria's breasts before glancing at her own underdeveloped chest. Yes, perhaps, but I'm sure you won't allow them to do that without offering him a chance to join your peerage instead. That's why you had originally shown interest in him, yes. A rare moment of complete silence passed. I wasn't aware that I was this transparent to you, Sona. Sona smiled. We've been friends for years, Rias. I know when you are interested in someone or something. I still find it rather odd that you would have picked one of the Academy's most devious perverts as a possible recruit. What did you see in him? I could sense that there was magical power hidden deep inside his body from the very moment I saw him. I didn't know for sure that it was a sacred gear, but I believed that he had serious potential. He may seem to be just a pervert and a slacker, but some of his grades are rather impressive, aren't they? Yes, many of his teachers have commented that he has shown rare moments of great intellect. He sometimes asks amazing questions and even aces difficult exams to make a point. He never does enough to be in the top 5 but never falls out of the top 15 either. He's still often caught having perverted conversations with his friends among other deplorable acts. but I should expect that a pervert like you would find that irresistible. Rias immediately rebutted. Hey, I'm not a pervert, Sona countered easily. I've seen the stuff you hide in the back of your closet. Rias was silenced instantly, her face emulating her hair's shade of red. Sona mentally congratulated herself before continuing on to a completely different topic. The mission is 3 nights from now. How are preparations coming along on your end? Rias, who was still recovering from the full-on blush, still had the mental capacity to answer the question. The information provided by Rainer checks out. Our enemies are 2 ex-Grigori agents that seem dissatisfied with the ceasefire. They've established a base on the outskirts of Kuo. They don't intend to be moving anytime soon. Sona groaned. This won't be easy. I'm sure the elders are waiting to hear how we handle this. Our top priorities will have to be gathering information, eliminating the enemy, and preventing casualties, especially among the citizens of Kuo. Rias smirked. That's why we're using one of the famous Citri clan barrier techniques to keep the fighting in one area. You can leave the rest to the capable peerage of Rias Gremory. Sona returned the smirk. My, aren't we confident? You know that there's no shame in requesting backup from your brother, right? Rias took a few seconds to answer. The region of Kuo was given personally into my care. To ask for my brother's assistance at the first sign of trouble would send the wrong type of message to the underworld. I assume it is the same reason you haven't asked your sister for help either. I assure you that the threat level of those fallen angels does not warrant involvement from our older siblings. Sona nodded. I agree. We need to demonstrate our ability to resolve these issues with our own strengths. Both girls stayed quiet for some time, simply enjoying the effects of the hot spring and each other's company. Rias would be the one to break the silence. Oh Sona, don't worry about your breasts. I hear that the women of the Citri clan are mostly late bloomers. I don't think you should be comparing your chest to mine just yet. Sona buried her head under the water's surface with a small squeak escaping her mouth. Ria's smile was as wide as the Panama Canal. Perhaps she wasn't the only transparent one here tonight. The XD. 3 nights later, Issei watched with keen interest as a solid magical dome formed itself around the small warehouse district that would form the arena for the imminent fight. He was sitting on the ledge of a small clock tower not too far from where Rias and her team were preparing to take on the ones responsible for the recent attacks. Perched on his shoulder was a red eagle-sized dragon with green eyes. Most would assume that this was a familiar, but they would be wrong. It was a physical manifestation of the legendary Red Dragon Emperor himself. Issei spoke softly as the chilled night breeze slowly washed over him. A barrier technique. That actually makes sense. This fight might just get out of hand, especially if those fallen angels get desperate. Drake grunted. The Citri clan is known for having some of the most powerful barrier techniques in the underworld. Even though the current heiress is young and inexperienced, I can tell that nothing short of a blast from me or Albion could break through that barrier easily. Albion. Who is that, Lizzie? One of your reptilian friends. Am I going to have set up a play date? Drake sighed heavily. Despite the fact that I'm still not used to having a physical body again, you do know I could use my power to burn you to a crisp from the inside out. Issei smirked. I am aware you could try, yes, but there is a large difference between attempting and doing. Drake rolled his green gem-like eyes. I swear you're the most annoying partner I've ever had. I like to leave my mark whenever I go, Lizzie. It's so that people always have something to remember me by. I have the feeling that people would rather forget you altogether, especially if you give them all such ludicrous nicknames. Only the special people get nicknames, and in time they all warm up to it. Isn't that right, Ray-Chan? A few seconds passed before a shout could be heard from an adjacent rooftop. Oh, for fuck's sake, Issei smiled. Why don't you come over here and give me and Liz some company? The female fallen angel who had been watching Issei and Drake for the past hour slowly made her way over to the teenager and his sacred gear. Her annoyance was firmly established on the fact that she had constantly failed at carrying out surveillance on Issei without being comprised. Did his sacred gear really give him such heightened senses? Rainer slowly nodded in respect to the almighty Welsh dragon. The stories of his power was well known to all the mystical factions. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance again, Red Dragon Emperor. Drake nodded. Your respect is quite refreshing, Fallen. Perhaps I'll change my mind about killing you for attempting to kill my partner. Rainer gulped and slowly flew herself backwards from the seemingly irritated dragon. Issei intervened. Oh, stop being so dramatic, Lizzie. I already told you that she just had her priorities a little mixed up. She won't be attacking us again unless it's a spar. Right? Rainer nodded weakly. Issei continued. Good. Now I need the both of you to get along, so no more murder threats and no more running away in absolute terror. Am I understood? To Rainer's great confusion, the powerful Dragon King, known for having power that rivaled some of the most powerful beings ever, merely sighed. Fine. If she does nothing to anger us, her life is not forfeit. Issei smiled before beckoning for Rainer to sit beside him. The fallen angel slowly took her seat, keeping an eye on the magical dragon that was sitting on Issei's opposite shoulder. The brown-haired teenager put a hand to his chin. I guess since we're all one big happy family, there's nothing wrong if you guys call each other by your nicknames too. Drake's eyes glowed with tremendous power. If she calls me Lizzie, I will end her. Rainer gulped again and Issei chuckled. Don't worry, Ray-Chan. He's just shy, he'll come around in time. Rainer thought it was wisest to change the subject of discussion. I thought you said we were only going to give them some information and allow them to handle the rest. Why are we here? Well, I am here because the thought crossed my mind that it would actually be in our best interest if we were actually here to make sure things go smoothly. Well, imagine a scenario where things go south and one or even worse, both heiresses end up dead because of the information that we provided. Rainer's eyebrows furrowed. Shit, the devil community would think that Grigori set them up. Exactly. That's why we're here. Tonight also presents us with the opportunity to gauge the strength and weaknesses of our acquaintances without fighting them ourselves. Rainer listened keenly. This Issei sounded like a tactician more than anything else. I'm also here because I hope that Ria-senpai and Akino-senpai can have a few wardrobe malfunctions during the battle. Rainer ignored the perverted chuckle that left Issei's lips. The excitement in Issei's eyes were enough to convince her that he was actually being honest about that last part. Wait, but you came out here without calling me. What if something happened to you? Issei nonchalantly directed a thumb at the dragon resting on his shoulder. We can take care of ourselves, and I knew you were watching me tonight, so I just allowed you to follow me. Rainer groaned as she slowly began to rub her temples. Why was this kid such a headache? You know, I've been watching some videos on how to do a proper stress-relieving full-body massage. Rainer growled. Considering that over 90% of your search engine history is porn, I wouldn't allow you to touch me with a 10-foot pole. Issei scratched his head. But you literally rubbed yourself against me several times during our first date. Are you one of those girls that get off on blue-balling guys? Rainer barely managed to compose a response. I didn't ... was for the mission. D-Drag would surprisingly be the one that came to Rainer's rescue. Quiet, things are getting interesting. Issei turned his attention away from the furiously sputtering Rainer to the warehouse that served as the enemy's base. Hey, you're right. I can feel their magic ... Was that Akino-senpai? Wow, she's pretty strong ... The swordsman and Shorty seem to be distracting him so the heavy hitters can go for the killing blow. Rainer could also follow the battle's flow based off the magical auras and attacks being thrown around. She doubted the warehouse itself would be left standing when things were done. But something fell off. Where was the second culprit? The information she received said that there was a pair of fallen angels going around the country attacking servants of the pure-blood devil. Plans trying to trigger a major confrontation. The two males had been very important operatives during the war, but had seemed to have lost their significance since Azazel had withdrawn the Grigori forces. Both members of the Fallen went Mia soon after. Well, isn't that clever? Rainer left her train of thought to give attention to Issei's statement. What is it? Issei was now looking in a different direction. The other fallen angel is heading directly for the barrier team. His mission is more than likely to kill the Citri clan heiress and anyone else he can get his hands on. Most of them will be too focused to keep the barrier up to help with the fight. Rainer frowned as she felt a spike of energy that was certainly not any of the devil's. Things just got worse. Issei was now standing on the edge of his clock tower. His tone no longer conveyed humor and playfulness. Explain. That spike of power you just felt is a special technique that was created by the original 12 apostles of Christ. It's a special set of prayers that converts an area into an anti-devil zone. D-Drake grumbled. That doesn't sound very good. Well, it won't kill them, but they'll be in a lot of pain until they are completely unconscious. Only high-ranking members of the church are supposed to know the 12 prayers and have the power to pull it off, though. There has to be a group of exorcists helping these guys. Where did get these resources? Issei frowned. What are our options? Dealing with the anti-devil zone would be easiest. Whoever is saying the prayers must stay exactly still and focused. All we would have to do is disturb them to weaken it. Stopping all 12 of them would cancel it completely. All right, you help Ria-senpai and I'll intercept the Fallen heading towards the barrier team. You want us to split up. Azazel-sama told me to protect you. I'm not allowing you to face a threat like that by yourself. Azazel also said you should consider my orders as if they were his. Rainer's breath was caught in her throat as she felt several waves of power emanating from Issei. D-Drag will be helping me, so don't let me have to say it again. Go, help, Ria-senpai. Rainer took off at full speed, leaving Issei with D-Drag. The Welsh dragon spoke smugly. That girl is beginning to fear you. Good. Issei frowned. Fear is a powerful motivator but an even more powerful repellent. I'll have to apologize later. Let's go. We need to deal with that Fallen. D-Drag nodded as he slowly disappeared from plain sight, the small fragments of his energy reuniting with Issei's body. The dragon's disembodied voice now echoed within Issei's mind. Lead the way, partner. DXD. ... Why are you doing this? A black-haired fallen angel slowly approached the downed and weakened Ria's grimoire. He was actually impressed that the devil girl had managed to stay conscious while the seal was still draining her power and inflicting great pain. The rest of her peerage was unconscious. You're not in the position to ask such questions, foolish child. You wouldn't understand our great and noble ambitions. Rias grunted as she tried to summon her power. You intend to disturb the peace that exists between the Grigori and the devils. The towering fallen angel spat in Ria's direction, his disgust more than obvious. Peace, 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 between us and the devils. Don't be foolish. We were designed and destined to hate each other eternally. I can understand Azazel making peace with heaven, but I will never forgive him for choosing to not continue our attacks on your wretched kind. Rhea seemed to be in too much pain to respond. The fallen angel took the opportunity to continue. He is too small-minded to see the truth. We will not stop until things return to how it should be. Killing you and the Citri clan heiress is only the beginning. Every devil clan will be victimized until they finally launch an attack on the Grigori, and Azazel-sama will be forced to react. It will be glorious. You're insane, Grabalik. The fallen angel identified as Grabalik slowly turned around. Rainer ... It's been a while. Still being a loyal spy dog to Azazel. Rainer smirked. Better than being a loyal little bitch to whoever has been helping you put this plan together. I know you guys aren't this smart. Where did you find such willing exorcists? Grabalik laughed. Wouldn't you like to know? There's a revolution coming, Rainer. Something that neither you or that blind fool Azazel can prevent. I would suggest you make it known where you all stand before it's too late. The order for this new era will be chaos. Rainer frowned. Chaos? You don't say. You made 3 mistakes, Grabalik. Firstly, you disobeyed a direct command from Azazel-sama. Secondly, you insulted Azazel-sama in my presence. A purple lance of holy light crackled to life in Grabalik's hands to match the red spear of light that Rainer was holding. And my third, turning your back on a pissed-off devil. That voice wasn't Rainer's. Grabalik's attempt to spin was cut short by the ball of devil destruction magic that slammed into the side of the fallen angel's head, quickly and efficiently consuming it. The male fallen angel's headless corpse slowly fell over. There were still wisps of smoke coming from the charred remains of his neck. Rainer grimaced. The Gremori clan's destruction magic was pretty high up there on the index of powerful magics and spells in the mystical realm. She had no intention on ever being on the receiving end. Rhea slowly stood up. It's good to see you again, Rainer-san. I assume you are the reason that the seal's power had been weakening for the past few minutes. Rainer nodded. I just bonked a couple of the more powerful exorcists on the head to break the connection. The weaker ones struggled to maintain the seal's intensity. Grabalik would have probably sensed it if I had done anything more drastic than that. Rhea nodded as she noticed Akino beginning to stir. You ... have my thanks. A Grigori loyalist nodded as she expanded her wings and prepared for flight. I will pass on your gratitude to the Grigori and Issei. Please excuse me, I'm gonna go check on that stupid brat before he does something. BOOM. A gigantic explosion rocked the warehouse district, sending a weakened Rhea back to the ground. Rainer tumbled a bit but regained her footing easily. Stupid. Aw damn it. Rainer burst out of the roof at full speed, leaving the recovering Gremori peerage to their own guesses as to what may have caused the previous explosion. DXD. Issei coughed a few times as he slowly stood up out of a pile of rubble that was once a factory. His left arm was now encased by the red armor of the Welsh Dragon's boosted gear. Well ... that hurt. D-Drake's voice echoed from the green jewel that rested at the knuckle of the arm brace. That's what explosions are designed to do, partner, hurt people. That's why persons normally try to escape the blast radius and not fly directly into it. Issei groaned as he stretched his body. Good point, Lizzie. I'll take this into consideration. Oh look, it's Ray-Ray-chan. Rainer swooped down, her eyes reflecting her level of anger mixed with a slight hint of worry. What ... did you do? Issei began to scratch his head. Please promise me you won't get mad. Rainer narrowed her eyes. Speak. Now. So, I intercepted the fallen angel guy that was flying towards the barrier team ... and when he realized he couldn't beat me in a straight-up fight, he did this kind of kamikaze attack that was supposed to kill all of us. D-Drake had chosen that moment to cut in. That coward. Issei smirked. Little bitch is more like it. Rainer growled. Issei, focus. Yes, right. As I was saying, he went for the kamikaze attack and I body slammed him into this factory to prevent the blast from reaching everyone else. You ... did ... what? I saved the barrier team by taking an explosion. Point blank. With the help of D-Drake's power ... Yay. Do you hate me? Are you trying to get Azazel-sama to kill me? No. Rainer started to rub her temples again. You're going home. Right now. I was thinking we could maybe stop for some ice. Right now. DXD. He slammed himself into the fallen angel before he finished the technique ... and survived the explosion. Sona sighed. This was probably the 4th or 5th time Rhea had asked about the details of the night's occurrence. Yes, he certainly saved our lives. And not only did he survive, he walked away under his own power. I do admit that he did look to be in pain, but the feat is still no less impressive. Rhea nodded as she watched the Citri clan magicians heal the members of her peerage. Impressive indeed. Sona took a few moments to examine her friend's face. You're serious about going after him, aren't you? Rhea kept her gaze locked on her recovering team. I almost caused their death tonight, Sona. I was naive, stupid, irresponsible, and allowed my inexperience to dictate my tactics. That fallen angel would have killed us without Rainer's intervention. We need to get stronger and wiser. Adding someone like Issei to my peerage and awakening Gasper's potential would push us in the right direction. Sona blinked in surprise. Rhea wanted to even bring Gasper out of hiding. Perhaps her friend was taking this loss harder than expected. She always knew Rhea was a proud devil girl, and now her pride was extensively damaged. She hoped Rhea wasn't making any more rash decisions. Think about this carefully, Rhea. Your peerage still trusts you completely. They would follow you to the ends of the earth. And that's why I want to protect them with all I have, Sona. and I don't think I can protect them and the rest of Kyo without serious firepower. Son aside, I understand. I would do almost anything to protect my peerage as well. But if you are serious about going after Issei, there's something you should know. Rias turned her attention to her best friend. Did something else happen? While Issei was fighting the fallen, he asked me to do him a favor. Rias titled her head in curiosity. A favor? Yes, he wanted me to. The XD. I'm going to what? Issei winced as Rainier helped him climb through his bedroom window. The fallen angel had remained outside as Issei tumbled through. You're going to attend school with me starting next week. I'll fill you in on the details as soon as I get them myself. You didn't think you should ask me about it first. Issei, who was now standing in his room, shrugged. I was just trying to make your job simpler. If we're in the same class, it would be easier for you to keep an eye on me. Rainier was about to retort, but Issei decided to continue speaking. And I'm a little concerned about what I saw tonight. Those two fallen angels seem to be a small part of a much bigger movement and plan to restart hostilities between the different mystical factions. I think it would be wise if we formed a proper alliance with our new allies. Rainier remained silent as her brain ran through the possibilities. She nodded as she relayed her response. Okay, this is one of the few times that you're making sense. I'll give Azazel-sama a call tomorrow. Very well. Pass on all the info we learned tonight as well. I'd also like to apologize for scaring you with my power again. I don't intend for you to be absolutely terrified of me, Rainier. I do need you to trust me as we work together, though. Rainier grimaced. I see. I'll try my best to keep that in mind. Issei smiled. Good, now for more important matters. Rainier narrowed her eyes as Issei walked up to the window with a perverted gleam in his eyes. How about a goodnight kiss like in those American romantic comedies? Slam. Issei had moved his face away from the slammed window just in time. A small chuckle escaped his lips as he drew the curtains shut. The eagle-sized version of D-Drag slowly manifested itself into the space that was next to him. I'm flooding the area with my energy. No one will be able to use any magic to spy on us, especially that fallen girl. Issei nodded. Thank you. D-Drag winced as Issei fell to his knees, coughing, wheezing, and vomiting. It would only last for about 2 minutes, but it was enough to give D-Drag the impression that Issei was certainly on the brink of death. After a few minutes of quiet, the Red Dragon Emperor, filled with deep interest and sorrow, used his power to carry his partner's pale, sweaty body into his bed. Issei's raspy voice could barely be heard. Thanks, D-Drag, not only for this but for keeping it a secret. We are partners, kid. I'd never betray your trust ... but I must be honest. Your power is killing you, Issei. I understand that you had to use it to save them from that explosion, but... Issei nodded. I couldn't allow those guys to die ... but I think I've found a solution to our problem ... Just continue to lend me your power for now. D-Drag nodded. Very well, get your rest, partner. I will, don't worry. About the mess. I'll get to it in the morn. Zay. D-Drag shook his head as Issei drifted off into the land of slumber. This was the first in a long time he had encountered a human that was so interesting. A human that can beat a fallen angel and survive a kamikaze attack without using the power of a sacred gear ... What else are you and that strange power of yours capable of, Issei Hudu? Michael was silent. The mighty 12-winged archangel of heaven. The holy system's new god. The first one who had sung for joy when the god had created something new. The one that had screamed out battle orders to the host of heaven as they descended upon their enemies. The one that mourned in agony whenever an angel had chosen the path of the fallen. The one who had supported and encouraged the other seraphim to stand strong and to keep up the good fight when even God himself had been killed. That Michael was now sitting silently under the tree of life. No singing, no talking, no humming, just silent. For reasons she could not fully express, Gabrielle was worried. The beautiful 10-winged female angel slowly but boldly approached heaven's new leader. Brother. Michael turned to her and smiled. Hello, Gabrielle. You've been standing behind me for some time now. Are you all right? Gabrielle simply returned the smile with one of her own as she sat at her brother's side. I'm doing fine. Any concern I have right now is about you. You've been very pensive since your conversation with Azazel. Is there something wrong? Michael took a few seconds before answering. In a few months from now, I'll be attending a conference with the leaders of the other great factions in an effort to solidify our ceasefire. Gabrielle's eyes widened as she jumped to her feet. This is marvelous news. God always said that it is only through unity that great things would be accomplished. Michael smiled again as he invited her to sit back down beside him. Yes, this is indeed marvelous news, but we have all agreed to keep the details of this meeting as a secret for now. Which means that you shouldn't go around telling everyone just yet. Gabrielle nodded energetically. Okay, I can keep a secret. My lips are sealed. Michael tried his best not to laugh as his sister emphasized her words with the action of drawing a horizontal line across her lips. Yes, I do believe in your secret-keeping abilities, sister. But I did learn something new this morning. Gabrielle's eyes glowed with eagerness. Oh, Michael finally chuckled. Perhaps even the strongest female angel in heaven was not immune to the savory flavor of juicy gossip. There's a human that Azazel wants me to meet. A teenage boy named Issei Hudu. He is the holder of the Welsh Dragon's boosted gear. Gabrielle's astonishment had not faltered one bit. Is he really strong? Michael nodded. Yes, supposedly he is. Azazel also claims that this boy has strange abilities and holds knowledge that can help us accomplish many great things. Perhaps peace between the factions of the spiritual realms would indeed be possible. Gabrielle jumped to her feet again. Amen. How amazing. I feel like to spread my holy joy with the citizens of Heavenly City. May I go? I promise to not mention our secret. Michael nodded as he waved Gabrielle along. Yes, please go and enjoy as you share ye blessings of holy light. Pass on my regards to whoever you see. Please keep in mind that the Seraphim have a meeting later. You're expected to be in attendance. Gabrielle nodded energetically as her wings unfolded. Okay, I'll see you then, Michael. FWOOSH. Michael only shook his head as his sister flew off. She truly had a gift for bringing joy to confused and distressed hearts. And in all honesty, he did feel a bit confused, not because of the meeting or about Issei in general. It was about the most important detail Azazel had mentioned, the one he had chosen not to share with Gabrielle. He wanted to be critical about it, but there was something in the back of his mind that was telling him that neither Issei nor Azazel were attempting to deceive him. Even now the words were still echoing in his mind. You won't believe this, Michael ... but ... the kid knows our father's name. His real name. That was supposed to be impossible. There were only 3 people in all of the universe that knew God's real name. One of them was dead, the other 2 were Michael himself and Azazel. They both made a covenant with the Father that they would never share it, and even though the Father was dead, the system that presided over all creation still recognized all covenants, if Azazel had broken it. Michael shook his head. Azazel had committed many sins and was known for many unsightly traits, but being a covenant breaker was not one of them. But, for this human to know God's real name, the implications were a little too much for Michael. To the great archangel did know one thing for sure. He would be having a very long conversation with Issei Hudu in a few months' time. The XD. If there was any benefit to being the girlfriend of Issei Hudu, it would have to be the fact that Issei had been blessed with magical fingers. Culinary magical fingers. Rainer had discovered this truth 2 weeks ago when she had been invited over by Issei's parents for family dinner on a Friday night. She had primarily gone to solidify her cover as Issei's girlfriend and to give his parents enough of a backstory to keep them from asking too much questions further down the line. Telling them that she was an orphan being taken care of by an uncle who spends most of his time overseas for business did the job effectively. A secondary objective she had decided on was to see if she could learn anything new about the brown-haired pervert from his family. All parents were well known for always spilling the embarrassing secrets of their children, weren't they? Rainer was convinced that there had to be something in the Hudu home that could give her greater insight into the enigma that was Issei Hudu. To her own shock, it was Issei's parents that had entertained her with tea, jokes, and stories while Issei busily cooked up a storm in the kitchen. No one would have blamed the fallen angel for worrying about the future of her stomach. There was nothing about Issei that gave her the impression that this meal would be edible, much less tasty. But once again, to her surprise, even though the offered spread was simple, it was delicious. And the dessert was good. Really good. It felt like her taste buds had experienced the ultimate orgasmic joyride. She would never admit her thoughts on the matter to Issei, but she had a sinking feeling that the little brat already knew. After all, he was the one that proposed that the family invite her over every other Friday night. Rainer had happily accepted. Free, unbelievably good-tasting food in a nice house with people that she didn't exclusively hate. Sounded like a win-win to her. It was now Thursday night and Rainer had just returned from a 2-day trip to the underworld. She had been summoned before the High Council to share information she had gathered on Issei, Rias, Sona, Kuo Academy, the town of Kuo, and the incident involving the rogue fallen angels. The High Council seemed quite interested in the fact that Greybleck had an outside contact providing with such valuable resources and were probably going to assign a team to investigate the matter. Upon returning to the realm of Earth, the first thing that was on Rainer's mind was to check on her ward and to make sure he had not done anything stupid in her absence. Knowing her luck, perhaps it would be better for her to hope that he had not done anything too stupid. And what exactly would be her reward for such diligence and faithfulness in her mission? Grocery shopping. Yes, grocery shopping. As soon as she had arrived on Issei's doorstep, she had encountered the brown-haired teenager heading out to purchase the items needed for the Friday night family dinner. She soon found herself being dragged behind him to act as his shopping buddy. The raven-haired fallen angel wouldn't ordinarily allow herself to be reduced to such demeaning tasks. But when she had been given the special mission of picking up the ingredients required for dessert, she knew her taste buds would thank her later for silencing her fallen angel pride. Issei was going to make strawberry shortcake. Strawberry shortcake. She didn't mind suffering for such a delicious delicacy. She could already feel it generating sparks of happiness with each bite. Rainer, I don't think you should be drooling on the strawberries like that. Rainer sighed as she slipped out of her food-induced daydream. Why were people getting the drop on her all of a sudden? Was she losing her edge? She wasn't concerned that the person standing behind her knew her true identity. It would be more than were her colleagues after all. A frowning Rainer turned around to face the only other person standing in the grocery store's aisle. Donasik, Midelt, I didn't think you two were the late evening shopper type. The XD. In the small butcher's shop across the road, Issei was busily trying to pick between two very nice cuts of steak when Dreg spoke up from within the teenager's consciousness. Partner, yes Lizzie. You feel that? Issei didn't blink as he continued to look between his choices. You mean the fallen angels talking to Rainier across the road? Yeah, I feel them, but I don't sense her being worried or anxious, so I doubt she's in any danger. If things change though, we go over there with all guns blazing. Right. I was talking about our observer. The Bat Demon. Issei smiled as he turned to face the butcher. I'll be taking the one on the right. Excellent choice, young man. As the butcher went to work on the chosen meat, Issei responded to Dreg's inquiry. Oh, the devil that's been watching us all day. Yeah, I've been faintly sensing it too. What's weird is that I'm pretty sure I've seen it somewhere before. You think it's a familiar of one of those devil clans that we've interacted with lately? Now that you mention it, that would make sense. I'm even willing to bet it's the Gremory clan, considering what I've been feeling over the past few days. I'm not surprised that she would be keeping tabs on me though. Indeed. I'll let you know if the familiar does anything interesting. Issei smiled. Thanks Lizzie. As a reward for such good work, you're getting an extra piece of steak tomorrow. I'm not an unintelligible beast that can be pleased with simple pieces of fatty meat, partner. A pregnant pause permeated the mental conversation between boy and dragon. You want an extra slice of the strawberry shortcake, don't you? Now you're speaking my language, partner. DXD. Donasik chuckled as he folded his arms. Things have changed a whole lot since we last spoke, Rainier. You were going to kill this kid and now you're doing some of his grocery shopping. Nettles smiled brightly as she leaned forward. Did somebody get some good dick and fall in love? Rainier rolled her eyes. Be serious for once. I did try to kill him, but that boy is far stronger than I thought. To make matters worse, he and Azazel-sama have met in person. The humor on both Donasik's and Middelt's faces faded away quickly. The fedora-wearing fallen angel growled. Are you saying that you can't beat a simple human boy? And he somehow now has Azazel-sama's acknowledgement. Rainier sighed rather loudly. Firstly, that simple boy is the wielder of the Welsh Dragon's boosted gear and not just a weak brat as we had originally surmised. Secondly, that's the reason I'm doing all of this crap. It's Azazel-sama's direct orders. Middle bit her bottom lip. Does Azazel-sama know of our presence here? I didn't say anything. But thanks to Graybleck's antics 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't be surprised if the High Council has an agent or two combing this entire region for out-of-place Grigori agents or rogue fallen angels. The answering statement made both Middelt and Donasik look at each other. Rainier was experienced enough to know that their shared look meant something. Would you two mind sharing with the rest of the class? Donasik frowned. We haven't seen Calawarner since last night. Rainier shrugged. She's a big girl. It wouldn't be the first time she disappeared to unwind or work on something. Middelt frowned. We're afraid that it might be serious than that. Rainier narrowed her eyes. What do you think happened? Middelt answered. When she left last night she assured us she would be back in a few hours. She claimed that she was just going to do some light surveillance around certain parts of the city. Donasik continued. She knows all the highly concentrated devil areas, so I doubt she would ever go anywhere near them. But perhaps she was spotted by a senior Grigori agent and brought back for questioning. All three fallen angels remained silent as they honestly considered the possibilities. Donasik broke the silence. If she doesn't show up soon, we'll have to continue our plans without her. We should also keep our ears on the ground. If she is any form of trouble, she'll need our help. Both female members of the fallen race nodded in agreement as Donasik continued. We've acquired the device. We don't have anyone to test it on yet, but we'll have our chance soon. Rainier's left eyebrow shot up. We will. Middelt nodded. Yes, a few of our friends in the hierarchy of the church have managed to become the latest caretakers of Asia Argento. Rainier narrowed her eyes. Asia Argento ... as in that excommunicated nun with healing powers. I thought that the church took her completely off the grid. Since that incident, no one has heard a peep about her or her sacred gear. Middelt continued. Yup. But as we said before, her new caretakers are friends and supporters of our cause. They've pulled enough strings to get her out of Italy on a one-way ticket to Kuo. They want us to test to see if our relic is the real deal. Rainier frowned. What happens when the church realizes that she's missing? Who deals with the fallout? Donasik shook his head. That's not our concern. Our friends seem confident that they can cover this up with minimal difficulty. We just need to do our part in finding her once she gets to Kuo and carrying out the ritual. Rainier nodded. I see. I'm not sure how much of a help I'll be, considering that I have my hands tied with the brat quite often, but if I do spot her, I'll do what I can to get her to you safely. Donasik responded. We understand. However, if the device does work, we might be transferring the sacred gear to you, considering you are the most adept magic user in our group. Rainier nodded. I understand. Oh, there's something else you should know. Our comrades in Switzerland are sending over an rogue exorcist to our group. His name is Fried Selzen. Rainier groaned. That bastard. Middelt smirked. You've met him before. Yeah, he is actually quite strong, but he's just a glutton for killing and mayhem. He's a real whack job. As long as he doesn't turn against us, we'll accept his help. He's also supposed to play a part in getting that girl to us. So let's not come to a conclusion on him just yet. Rainier rolled her eyes. Fine, but don't say I never warned you about that damn psycho priest. Donasik sighed. I think we've taken up enough of your time. I'm pretty sure your little boyfriend is done with his shopping across the road and will be waiting for you. We'll seek to make contact soon, Rainier. Middle spoke up as Donasik turned to leave. We've decided to establish our base at the old church on the hill overlooking the town. So if there are any complications, you should head over there. Rainier nodded as her fellow fallen angels quickly disappeared into another one of the grocery store's aisles. The raven-haired woman took a deep breath before returning her attention to Issei's list. Several new questions busily asking for answers in the back of her already cluttered mind. The XD. I spoke to Sona-senpai this morning and all the documents and details have been verified. You'll officially be attending classes at Kyo Academy starting next week Monday. Rainier grumbled as she flopped down on Issei's unbelievably comfortable bed. I'm not sure what annoys me more, this idea or the fact that Azazel-sama proved it without a second thought. Issei was once again sitting cross-legged on his bedroom floor. His eyes were closed and his breathing was very relaxed. Oh please, you're a spy that's been in the game for a few centuries at least. I'm sure you've gone undercover at schools lots of times. A school assignment is for the amateurs, or it's the type of punishment the High Council would hand out to you for screwing up on a big mission. I stepped up from that level a long time ago. Oh, and what exactly constitutes a higher level? Underworld brothels. Issei's eyes slowly opened. The underworld has brothels. Too many if you ask me. Well, you thought humans were the only race that was highly fascinated with sex. Issei shrugged before closing his eyes again. I guess you do have a point. Oh, before I forget, something interesting happened while you were gone. Rainier groaned. What great act of stupidity did you commit this time? Issei pouted. It wasn't my fault this time. Really? Let's hear it. The sooner I know, the sooner I can buy migraine pills. So last night I was dropping off a DVD at Matsuda's place. It was that one I was telling you about, Magical Girl Coco vs. the Insect Men Part 4. Let me tell you, the animation in this one was much better than in Parts 2 and 3. Rumors have it that they hired a few of the animators from rival companies, and that's why this one was such a success. You should have seen how her eyes rolled over when the insect men. Issei, focus. Tell me about your porn later ... or never. Issei chuckled. Oh sorry, I just get a little zealous at times. Right as I was saying, so last night I'm on my way home when I get stopped by this fallen angel. A woman with navy blue hair, she wore this dark red trench coat. I'm pretty sure she didn't say her name. Rainier froze. I was gonna try to ask a few questions to see if she was connected to Greyblack or whoever he was working with, but then she attacked me. Rainier's eyes widened. This was bad. Funnily enough, I had also borrowed a DVD from Matsuda, so to ensure the safety of that disc and its precious content I was forced to counter her attack with great force. This was really bad. Rainier gulped. You killed her. Issei furrowed his brows. I don't think so, but I might have. My attack literally blew her away. She could have landed anywhere in Kyo, to be honest. I had to protect the precious. Rainier was sweating bullets as she stared at the back of Issei's head. There was no way that the brat would not connect the obvious dots. What I find interesting is that she was pretty convinced that I was supposed to be dead, even said she was gonna finish the job herself ... on your behalf. Shit. Listen, I can explain. I know and you will. But I'm also sure that you wouldn't send someone weaker than you to try to kill me. It's not your style. It's one of the few reasons I haven't asked D-Drake to burn you alive yet. But this does leave me with a few questions of my own. Perhaps your explanation will answer them. Rainier bit her lip before speaking. The fallen angel that attacked you is an agent of the Grigori that is working on a few projects in the region. She is a colleague of mine and was aware of my previous intention to kill you. We haven't spoken since then, so she wouldn't be aware of my new mission. Azazel ensured me that there was going to be an order for all Grigori agents to stay away from me unless I asked for their aid. Yes, there was, but many of the agents that are in deep cover situations wouldn't receive those orders as yet. And by deep cover you mean agents that are probably here without the Grigori's knowledge, yes, carrying out their own initiatives. Rainier remained silent. HMPH, I'm not a big fan of the whole cloak and dagger escapade, Rainier. I don't really care what you guys want to do as long as you stay away from me, my people and my stuff. Am I to expect any more of your colleagues to attack me? No, this was a misunderstanding. An enormous misunderstanding. I assure you that you don't have anything to worry about concerning any Grigori agent again. I shouldn't have to worry in the first place. You guys are terribly sloppy. I'm going to bed soon. I'd like to be left alone. Rainier slowly nodded her head as she exited Issei's room via his window. She turned back to the brown-haired teenager one last time. I'm really sorry this happened, Issei. The most sincere apology is preventing an event like this from happening again. Do what you have to. The fallen angel nodded as she closed the window behind her and flew off. The XD. Komori, the bat demon familiar of Ria's grimoire, watched with great interest as the fallen angel that had followed Issei home left through the bedroom window. Her master had given her a fairly simple yet specific mission for the day. Follow Issei Hudu, take note of his activities, report anything strange, interesting, or remarkable. Based off what she had seen so far, she could only conclude that Issei had a sacred gear, had a good eye for steak, and a fallen angel guardian. It wasn't much, but the guys did seem a bit dull. It was more than likely that her master had some great level of interest in this boy, so any additional information would probably help. With the fallen angel gone, she could probably use her roaming eye spell to see what was exactly happening inside the Hyudo home. Komori sighed as she channeled her magical power into her eyes, talking out loud to no one in particular. I hope he isn't doing what most teenage boys do at night. I would actually have to report that. The thought of how her master would probably blush and sputter a bit was enough to bring a small smile to her face. Well, here goes. The roaming eye technique was developed especially for demonic familiars that specialized in reconnaissance. By channeling magical power to the eyes, the user was allowed to see through walls and other obstructive material. Of course, the technique wasn't perfect. A decent seal maker could draw an anti-scan seal on a building, rendering the technique useless. Another problem being that the user could only see through walls but not hear inside the building. Komori was adept at reading lips, so she didn't think that would have been an issue. What Komori saw when she activated the technique didn't make sense. Black. The entire house was black, no rooms, no furniture and no people. Someone or something was blocking it. Did the fallen angel cast some kind of spell before she left? I truly pity you, child. My partner was already in a bad mood and you only came along and made things worse. Komori gasped as she deactivated her spell. Hovering not too far in front of her was the Red Dragon Emperor himself. He was barely larger than an eagle, but she could feel his power all the same. She knew she was gloriously outmatched. You are the familiar of Ria's Gremory, correct? Komori's eyes widened as she turned around to see the object of her master's interest standing behind her, surrounded by a golden glow and levitating. Levitating. Since when could he do that? I would advise you to answer his question, child. Komori gulped. Yes, I am the faithful servant of Ria's Gremory. Issei exhaled as rubbed his forehead. Just as I thought. What's your name? My name is Komori. Welcome. My contact in the morgue confirmed the rumors. A few nights ago, an elderly couple were brutally killed on their way home. Based on evidence from the crime scene, the police seem to believe that it was done by a large carnivorous and has advised the public that a wild animal may be around. More than likely there's a new stray running around Kyo that we will have to deal with promptly. Rias grimaced as Kiba finished his report. I see, I agree with your assessment. Kyo is a region under Gremory rule. We can't allow such a beast to wreak havoc on our human counterparts. We will locate and eliminate it within the next 3 days. I'll be working out a strategy with Akino. Keep up the good work, Kiba. The blonde swordsman accepted his master's praise with a small nod before stepping away from her desk, leaving the Gremory clan heiress to her own thoughts. The red-headed devil exhaled deeply as her gaze journeyed out of a nearby window and onto a view of the city. How am I to lead the Gremory clan one day when I still struggle to protect a small human city? You seem distracted, Rias. Rias blinked in surprise as Akino placed a small cup of tea in front of her. She had been honestly caught off guard by her queen's sudden appearance. A small smirk emerged on her face as she spoke to her best friend. Oh, and what gives you that impression, Akino? Akino smiled as she spoke softly, knowing that both Kiba and Kaneko would know better than to eavesdrop on a conversation between their seniors. Other than the fact that I just surprised you. Well, you zoned out twice during Kiba's report, and I'm sure he noticed as well. You don't want your loyal subjects to begin to worry about you, right? Ria smiled as she took a small sip of her tea. Akino always did make the best blends. You're right as always. There are quite a few things on my mind these days, including our latest recruitment target. Rias grimaced. Yes, especially him. Speaking of which, how is Komori doing, by the way? She's calmed down significantly since her episode last night. With your permission, I'll be asking her to stay in the underworld for the next few days to enhance her recovery process. Rias nodded. Yes, of course. She deserves nothing less. Akino opened her mouth to continue the conversation, but in that moment she suddenly felt something that required her utmost attention. Rias saw the slight twitch in her queen's shoulders and also knew what was probably happening. Someone's here. Yes, the seal just registered multiple entrants. Rias took another sip of her tea. He's more than likely brought Rainair with him. Yes, I expected that, but why did the seal report 3 signatures? Rias blinked. 3 signatures. Knock knock knock. Rias sighed. She wasn't looking forward to this conversation, not since what she heard from Komori last night. Kaneko, could you get the door please? Our guests are here. Yes, President. Just as the white-haired loli fulfilled her master's request, the entire room was greeted by the smiling face of Issei Hyudo. Hey shorty. Hello stupid perv. Issei pouted. Hey, I'm not that stupid. A familiar female voice behind Issei spoke. The jury is still out on that one. Hello Rias-senpai, Akino-senpai and pretty boy. Rias and Akino returned the greeting with a polite one of their own while Kiba groaned. Must you call me that? You do realize that some of the girls on campus have mini orgasms when you talk to them, right? Besides, rumor has it that when you smile your face begins to sparkle. Sounds like the normal pretty boy routine to me. If only you used your powers for good. Kiba shook his head as Issei walked into the club room, allowing those behind him to come in as well. I think this is as good a time as any for proper introductions. You all know Rainair, the Grigori agent that has been assigned as my attendant and guardian by Azazel himself. She likes cake and she tried to kill me on our first date after eating through my allowance. Rainair blushed as she narrowed her eyes at Issei. Why do you keep mentioning that? Issei decided to pay her no mind as he pointed his thumb at the eagle-sized dragon that was perched on Rainer's right shoulder. This is D-Drake, the legendary Red Dragon Emperor who now serves as my sacred gear and partner. I'm sure you've all heard stories of how powerful he is and how he is feared by all of the factions. This is indeed him, just shorter. He likes cake as well. D-Drake took that moment to leave his impression on the room. Hello children. Each and every member of the Occult Research Club could feel the absurd amount of power that had just punctuated D-Drake's simple greeting. This was no joke or illusion. This was the Welsh dragon, and they were just as good as insects in his sight. A moment passed before Issei spoke again. Enough of the showboating, D-Drake. We're not just here for fun. The dragon nodded as his overwhelming presence slowly but surely dissipated into thin air. As you wish, partner. Thank you. Now, Issei was no longer smiling as he took a seat on a couch in the middle of the room. We've got some things we need to discuss, Rias. Fried Selzen considered himself to be a simple man. His main self-given purpose for existing was to get stronger, kill strong monsters, and fuck desirable bitches. Surely that wasn't too much to ask for from this droll experience called life. But it seemed that wherever he went there was always someone standing in his way, preventing him from doing the things he really wanted to. First, it was one of his instructors in the institute that had demanded that he learn to control his violent tendencies, or he wouldn't be allowed into the field to hunt devils. He accidentally killed the instructor in a spar a few weeks later. Then it was that female police officer that tried to arrest him for touching high school girls on the public train. He made sure to give her a good time before ending her life. And now it was some idiotic mediocre middleman that had been given one teeny tiny job. One simple, fucking job. Fried bit down on his lip hard, his irritation making itself quite obvious. Say that again. The person that he was speaking to was an ordinary human that had been hired to meet with Asia Argento upon her arrival in Kuo, and to keep her hidden until Fried could come get her. The man seemed to be a little embarrassed. Somehow, we got the flight numbers mixed up. When I got to the airport to pick her up, the girl's flight had already come in from yesterday evening. But don't worry, I'm sure she's in the city somewhere. We'll definitely find her. Fried inhaled sharply. That won't be necessary. Your services will no longer be required. Good help is so hard to find these days. Get out of my sight, you useless piece of trash. The man stepped forward. Hey man, I was promised a healthy sum if I got her to you, and I'm not leaving my payday behind. You got a problem with that? The man emphasized his statement by pulling a knife out of his waist. Fried laughed. Not just an ordinary chuckle or a small giggle or snicker, but full-blown laughter. The man himself eyed Fried warily. Hey, you sick in the head or something? Fried's laughter continued for a full 30 seconds before he began to calm down. I know I'm not crazy. Well, just maybe a little, but that's beyond the point. Here's a free life lesson from your good old friendly neighborhood priest, Father Selzen. The man had blinked. Just blinked. And in the milliseconds it would take for him to open his eyes again, Fried had easily separated his head from his body with a flick of the wrist. The sword in the ex-priest's hand was tinted red with the man's blood. Never bring a fucking knife to a magic sword fight, bitch. After spitting on the man's corpse and sheathing his sword, Fried slowly made his way out of their meeting place, a deserted alleyway on the outskirts of Kuo. I'll have to just make contact with those fallen angels and see if we can find this nun on our own. For all of the fucking trouble she's putting me through, she better be hot. And that's just who Fried Selzen was. A raging, psychotic, perverted murderer. In his own eyes, a simple man. Rias nodded at Issei's words. You're right. Let's get down to business. Will Rainer-chan and D-Drake-sama be joining us? Issei nodded. Of course. Rainer took that as her cue to take a seat beside Issei as D-Drake chose to lazily curl himself on top of one of the couch's armrests. Akino stepped forward with a serving tray as the three got comfortable. May I get you anything? Water, tea, biscuits? Rainer answered first. I'm fine. D-Drake grunted. No. Issei nodded. Some tea would be nice, thank you. As Akino left to prepare the tea, Rias took her chance to begin the discussion. So you've recently become aware of the fact that we've been keeping tabs on you? Yes. Issei shook his head. I've been aware ever since you guys started keeping track of my activities within the city. I just never had a reason to be bothered until last night. Kiba commented. You expect us to believe that? Issei nodded. Yup. Shorty follows me around Mondays and Wednesdays, Pretty Boy does Thursdays and Fridays, and Akino-senpai does Tuesdays, Saturdays and Sundays. I suspect that you weren't available last night, and that's why Rias was forced to send that bat demon, Komori. There was a common silence among the members of the Orc. It was impossible for Issei to have correctly guessed their observation schedules. Rainer wasn't surprised in the slightest. She was actually trained to be a spy, and the only time she could ever sneak up on Issei was when he was watching porn, and that was something no one should ever do. Rias decided to speak again. We stand corrected. You did know. So why act out now and traumatize my familiar? Issei winced. Sorry about that. I was in a foul mood when I discovered that she was trying to peek into my home. I may have overreacted a little. But she'll be fine. She just needs a few days of rest. I hope she mentioned that I didn't attack her. She did ... but I'm pressed to believe that you simply scared her that much. Issei's left eyebrow slowly rose. You do know that I have a terribly powerful dragon living inside my body, right? The one that literally startled all of you with just 2 words. Rias frowned. I see your point. Well, somehow during her hysteria Komori managed to say that you would be coming to speak with us today personally. What is that you wanted to say? As I said before, I don't mind you guys watching me. If I was in your position, I would keep surveillance on me too. I'm a powerful sacred gear user that has not necessarily picked a side yet. I live in a city that generally falls under your care, so I believe your actions are reasonable. I'm here to firstly make a request that will explain why I reacted in this manner to Komori's actions. Rias narrowed her eyes. A request. Issei nodded. Yup, there's something I'd like for you to understand. My parents, Goru and Hinata Hayadu, are ordinary humans. My father's a salaryman who works unbelievable hours so that we can eat good food. My mother is a full-time housewife that keeps all of our affairs in order. She even volunteers at the hospital from time to time. They aren't perfect, but they are good people and they have been good to me. They are mine, which means they are under my protection. Neither you nor your clan will attempt to spy on them, manipulate them, coerce them, or any other activity of a similar nature. The both of them and the house that they built through hard work are off limits unless I say otherwise. I'm asking you to respect that and leave them out of this completely. Rias pondered Issei's words for a moment before replying. It was never our intention to involve either of your parents, Issei. What happened last night was only because Komori wished to continue her surveillance on you. You have my word that no servant or representative of the Gremory clan will disrespect or violate your request. Issei took a deep breath. Thank you for understanding. As I said before, once I'm outside of my home, watch, follow, and stalk me to your heart's content. Rias offered a confident smile. Are you saying you have nothing to hide? Issei shook his head. I'm saying that if you want to know my secrets, you'll have to do far better than what you're doing right now. The answer was sharp enough to draw a speculative frown from Kaneko and Kiba. Rias was well aware that both her rook and her knight were proud of being members of her peerage and of the skills they possessed. They didn't normally take kindly to those who brought insult to either. Excuse me. The familiar voice of Akino sliced through the rooms, building tension with ease along with the delightful scents that were emanating from her lunch tray. Refreshments are now available. Rias offered a genuine smile to her best friend. Whether the timing of her arrival was planned or pure coincidence, it offered a great opportunity. Thank you, Akino. The black-haired devil returned the smile as if she knew exactly what Rias had been thinking about. It is always my pleasure to serve, Madam President. Issei smiled politely as Akino handed him his cup. It's been a long time since I've had some vanilla chai tea. Smells like you blended in the right amount of ginger root too. Akino was naturally fascinated. I don't often come across young teenage males that know different tea blends so intimately. I'm rather impressed, Issei. Issei chuckled as he took a few sips. Everyone has to have a hobby or two. I will admit that I'm not as well informed and practiced as I used to be. Even so, to recognize it just by the aroma still speaks high volumes about your skills and knowledge. I appreciate your praise. Rainer watched the interaction between Akino and Issei closely. Barakiel's daughter is quite the hostess. She's managed to even calm Issei down a bit with just a little dialogue. A girl like her would have done so well with the Grigori. Rias allowed herself a few moments to enjoy the refreshments as well before speaking again. May we continue, Issei? The brown-haired teenager nodded. Ah, yes, of course. There is something else I would like to discuss. I have a proposition for you. Rias leaned forward, allowing her elbows to rest on her desk. A proposition? Yes. Over the past few months, I've noticed that our city has been experiencing wave after wave of attack and provocation from the mystical world. From rogue Grigori agents to excommunicated exorcists to stray devils and monsters with hidden agendas. I think it's all a little too coordinated to be pure coincidence. Rias nodded. My brother Serzech came to the same conclusion a few days ago. It seems that Kyo has become a target for quite a few groups. Issei responded. And even though we may not be sure of the motive or motives of those responsible, we are well aware of their intention to disrupt any semblance of peace that our city has, whether by attacking you, the other devil clans represented here, or Kyo's human citizens. Rias grimaced. Yes, it does seem as if we are all being targeted, but Kyo is my responsibility, and I intend to use whatever resources that are at my disposal to keep it safe. Issei smiled cheekily. And what if those are not enough? From what I've seen, you're reluctant to ask for too much help from your clan and especially from your brother. Rias didn't answer. She had been asking herself that question for a long time now, and she hadn't managed to answer herself yet, so she doubted she could answer Issei. The sacred gear user continued. A wise man once told me that there are 3 persons a great ruler will always need in their life. An astute negotiator, an honest friend, and a ruthless executioner. If he's short on any of the 3, he is destined to fail. Rias' curiosity piqued. What are you implying? Issei took a deep breath before speaking. I'd like to be your executioner. There were varying reactions from each person in the room, but no one was willing to verbalize a response just yet. Issei could feel Rainer's questioning gaze burning tracks at the side of his skull. This was the part of today's plan he had not discussed with the fallen angel, and for good reason. He knew she would certainly attempt to dissuade him. Rias smiled sweetly, like the cat that had managed to finally corner the canary that she had been dying to have. Are you saying that you wish to join my peerage? The cat pounced. And the canary ... The canary shot her in the face. Nope. The entire room went silent again as Ria's jaw almost crashed into the floor. What kind of games are you playing, Issei Hayadu? You just said that you wish to serve me but you refuse to become a member of my peerage. Issei sighed. I'm not trying to play any games here. Allow me to repeat myself, I wish to be your executioner, not a member of your peerage, which would without a doubt require me to become a devil. Rhys sat back down. Explain. I'm offering my strength to you. Huo is my home, my family and friends live here and I want to keep it safe. I'm sure with our combined resources we will be able to eliminate those who would wish to harm this city in an attempt to destroy or discredit the BGMI clan. I already have a peerage for that and they are. Issei interjected. Young, inexperienced and not strong enough. Kiba scowled at Issei as he spoke. Are you calling us weak? Issei smirked. No, you're just not strong enough. Rhys-senpai needs more than a trusted peerage right now. I'm sure in time with the right training and guidance, each of you will be a powerhouse. But as it stands, none of you are quite there yet and I assure you that your enemies will not wait for you to get stronger. I do not intend to replace you, I intend to fight alongside you. Kiba countered. And what makes you think that you're vastly superior to us? Because you have a sacred gear. Issei remained silent for a few extra seconds before standing up. I see your point, pretty boy. Perhaps a demonstration is required. Issei stretched his limbs as he spoke. The room may be a little small but I'm sure this will be fine. I'm going to attempt to get to Rhys and you guys should try to stop me. Kaneko blinked. What? Issei explained again. I'm going to attempt to get to Rhys-senpai once. Neither Rainer nor D-Drake will be helping. If any of you, which includes you as well, Akino-senpai, manage to touch or stop me before I get to her, I'll leave. You may use your weapons and magic. Kiba pulled out his sword. Sounds ideal to me. Kaneko also stood from her chair, getting into one of her fighting stances. Akino stepped away from her lunch tray hesitantly. Are you sure about this? We may hurt you. Issei nodded. If you do, then my proposition is of no value to your master. Rhys slowly leaned back in her chair. Please do your best to not cause any permanent damage to the room. Issei smirked. And please stay away from the lunch tray, I really like the tea. All three members of Rhys' peerage surrounded Issei in a mid-range triangle formation. The encircled teenager smiled at Rhys. Would you mind counting us off, Rhys? We move at 3. The red-haired heiress nodded. Very well. 1. Kiba tightened his grip on his katana while Kaneko narrowed her eyes. 2. Small sparks of lightning magic sparkled in between Akino's fingers. Issei was stroking his chin with the weirdest smile on his face. 3. FWOOOSH. Issei was still standing in the very same spot, but now there was a katana at his neck, a fist nestled against his gut and a handful of lightning magic aimed at the back of his head. Akino spoke. It seems you overestimated yourself, Issei. Both Kiba and Kaneko smirked confidently. D-Drake would be the one to correct them. You should look at your president before deciding that, boy. All three members of Rhys' peerage spun with surprise as they faced their leader. Kiba expressed his disbelief. President. Rhys stood up from her chair and pointed at her corset. Rainer's eyes widened. Rhys' corset was open. The buttons were gone. Issei yawned as he retook his seat. Each of you, including Rhys-senpai, will find a button in your top pocket. Forgive me for my actions, Rhys-senpai. I will cover the fee for fixing your corset. Rhys shook her head as she reclaimed her seat. There is no need. I must admit I didn't even see you move, Issei. Is that some sort of time manipulation magic? Issei grinned. My secrets are my secrets. Rhys sighed. I see. Well, you've certainly proved yourself. Indeed. I won't lie though, you guys are far better than I thought. Let me also add that I'm willing to offer training regimes, tips and advice for the members of your peerage if they so desire. Rhys nodded. This all sounds like a very good proposal, Issei, but I still have a few questions. My main one being, what do you want in return for your services? I know you aren't doing this for free. Issei was scratching his chin again. How very wise of you to ask, Rhys-senpai. Tell me. Would it be inappropriate if I asked for a few pictures of you in magical girl Coco cosplay? Slap. A rather irate Rainer delivered a slap to the back of Issei's head. Is it too much to ask you to be serious in moments like this? Rhys smirked. Oh, he wasn't serious. I was actually about to agree. I do own some of her more risque outfits. Rainer narrowed her eyes. Azazel-sama always did say that devil women were the freakiest. Issei groaned as he rubbed the back of his head. Well, since I have to be serious, my demands aren't all that steep. A small stipend. We could always discuss the amount later, a few small favors here and there. But most importantly, I'd like access to the renowned BGMI clan library. Rhys paused for a moment. Our library? What exactly would you want in our? My secrets are my secrets. Right. Even though I am the clan heiress, you should know that there are several parts of the library that you won't have access to unless you are a member of my peerage or of direct relation to my family. Issei nodded. That's fine. I'm sure I'll find what I need, or at least some clues in whatever is made available to me. Rhys sighed. I see. I'll have to discuss some of your conditions with the clan elders and get back to you. Issei smiled as he stood up to leave, his compatriots following his example. Of course, take some time and think it over. Please do excuse us from your company. Tonight's family dinner night at my house and we don't want to be late. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a good weekend. Later that night, Rainer approached the front door of the Hudu family residence with several unanswered questions on her mind. Questions that revolved around the motives, plans and actions of Issei Hudu. She wasn't surprised by the fact that Issei had taken great offense to the actions of Rhea's familiar. For as long as Issei possessed the boosted gear Longinus, he would continue to exhibit character traits of a dragon, and one of the first things she learned was that dragons were very territorial beings. She'd have to keep an eye on him for the next few weeks to see just how great of an influence D-Drag was having on him. It wasn't rare to hear of a person being driven insane or becoming overcome with rage by the raw power of their sacred gear. If such was going to be the case, the Grigori would have to activate the necessary countermeasures. A frown slowly etched itself on the fallen angel's face as she recalled Issei offering himself as a weapon to Riaz and her clan. "I'd like to be your executioner." But why? Why would Issei choose to ally himself with the devils? Did he not understand how dangerous and underhanded they were? Did he think that the Gremari clan could deliver on their promises better than the Grigori could? What information could they possess that wouldn't already be at Azazel-sama's fingertips? What could that red-headed woman offer to him that she couldn't? Rainer blinked. What? Where in the hottest hells did that last question come from? Rainer shook her head. She needed to focus. It had been a very long week and she would be starting school with Issei on the coming Monday. She didn't need any distractions or stray thoughts. She just needed to get through this family dinner without any further complications. Just as she was about to knock, the door swung open to reveal a slightly agitated Issei. Rainer furrowed her eyebrows. "Issei, is there something wrong?" "I'm not too sure myself. I'd be grateful for a second opinion." Rainer entered and watched as Issei closed the door behind her. A very worrying thought crossed her mind. Wait, no. Did something happen? To the strawberry shortcake. Issei rolled his eyes. Could you not think about food for 1 second? Rainer blushed. Sorry. Right, you remember when I told you that my mom sometimes volunteers at the hospital? Rainer nodded. Well, she met 2 people at the hospital today, a person who seems to be suffering from amnesia and the young lady who found her in the street and brought her in. Okay. Well, the fees for the checkup were more than they could handle, so my mother paid it for them and then invited them to dinner tonight. Why is that so much of a problem? We normally have lots of leftovers. Issei sighed as he led Rainer into the living room. That's not what concerns me. Rainer was about to ask the all-important question about why it was such a concern, but then she was greeted by a sight that answered the question for her. Sitting in the living room, enjoying a drink of orange juice with Goru and Anata Hudu was none other than Asia Argento herself, the nun that had been specially brought to Kyo for the sole purpose of stealing her sacred gear. A process that would more than likely kill her. She was here. In Issei's living room. Fuck. Before Rainer could even attempt to form words into a statement, Hinata began the introductions. Hello Yuuma-chan, this is Asia Argento, a nun that came all the way from Italy to serve in Kyo's Christian church. Asia, this is Issei's girlfriend, Amano Yuuma. Asia's face reflected disappointment for just a moment. Oh, Issei-kun, as a girlfriend. Ooh, hello, it's very nice to meet you Yuuma-chan. Rainer smiled nervously. Likewise, Asia. Slow, careful footsteps could be heard as someone descended the staircase that led into the living room. Hinata smiled brightly. Oh, and this is Asia's friend, Esther. She's recovering from a small episode of amnesia, so she's a little shy. Would you like to say hello to Issei's girlfriend? Hello. My name is Esther. Well, that's the name Asia-chan picked for me. I can't remember my real name. It's nice to meet you. Wait, why did that voice sound so familiar? Rainer's eyes became flying saucers as she turned to greet Esther. Dressed in a very long dark blue frock and gray jacket was none other than the recently missing Calla Warner. The bashful, headstrong fallen angel now looked so fragile and innocent that even a mouse would probably scare her to death. You've got to be kidding me. Doing the dishes. It was in all truth a simple household chore. However, it was an activity that not many people looked forward to doing. In fact, if there was ever a competition for the most hated household chore, do you know who the winner would without a doubt be? Yup, you guessed it, doing the dishes. There was still a bit of mystery as to why so many people hated the tedious yet important job. Was it because removing the remnants of previous meals from pots, pans, and dishes was in itself kinda disgusting? Or because some families used up a lot of kitchenware from day to day and the task could take up valuable time, especially if you didn't own a dishwasher? Maybe it was hated due to how mind-numbingly boring it could be. Whatever the reason and logical conclusion that could be drawn, the fact remained that the task was abhorred by a majority of Earth's inhabitants. But we aren't focusing on them right now. We're focusing on Issei Hudu, and despite all that's been said in the previous statements leading up to this one, there is also one other precious fact that still also remains at the forefront. Issei Hudu actually liked washing the dishes. It didn't matter if there were a lot of dishes or the time of day that it had to be done. Once Issei had the opportunity, he would take his time to slowly clean each and every utensil that had been discarded into the sink. Issei himself found the task to be a little therapeutic. Being personally involved in a process that allowed him to purify objects until they were clean, fresh, and fit for usage gave him a real sense of accomplishment. He really didn't know why he got such satisfaction from doing it, but he knew it was one of the few activities that helped to take the edge off. The brown-haired young man happily hummed to himself as he inspected a recently washed knife set. Issei, a pause. The holder of the Welsh dragon Longinus took a deep breath and did his best to prevent his shoulders from tensing up. He didn't verbally respond, but his change of posture should have been enough to alert Rainer to the fact that he was listening to her every word. The fallen angel continued. I don't think Calawarner's faking it. Rainier tried her best not to flinch as Issei slowly turned around. His face didn't relay any hint of anger or disbelief, but his voice conveyed a small amount of worry. The atmosphere felt just a tad bit heavier. You've been chatting with her for almost an hour and that's all you have. A guess. What kind of spy are you? Despite the chill that ran down her back, Rainier still found the bravado to roll her eyes. A very thorough one. I've spent the last hour using every Grigori passcode, call sign and hand signal that Calawarner would know. She didn't react at all, she just kept talking. Issei blinked. So, there are certain phrases and gestures that every Grigori agent has to acknowledge no matter how deep their undercover assignment is. It was a system started by the High Council to prevent certain levels of espionage and to warn fellow agents if they were in danger. For Calawarner to ignore them implies that she really doesn't have any idea of what they mean. Issei frowned before replying. Or she no longer has any allegiance to the Grigori and has no reason to acknowledge your signals. Rainier shook her head. Calawarner would sooner commit suicide than betray us. Issei studied Rainier's face carefully. It wasn't often that the raven-haired female spoke with such conviction. Another second passed before he simply shrugged. I suppose I'll have to take your word for it unless proven otherwise. I didn't even know that angels could get amnesia. Rainier folded her arms. Heavenly angels can't. Those who have fallen from the righteous path lose some of the powers and protections that are being offered by God. One of these protections was the inability to contract or suffer from afflictions. Issei took a moment to process Rainier's response before nodding. I see, that kinda makes sense. Him. A very obvious twitch could be seen over Rainier's right eye as Issei turned his back to her and continued to enjoy his therapeutic activities. A few seconds passed in silence before the raven-haired woman opened her mouth and attempted to speak. Issei swiftly cut her off with instructions. Quiet, I'm trying to think. Rainier was about to defend herself by saying she hadn't actually said anything yet but decided she was better off staying quiet and starting an argument. What are the chances that Cauliflower will recover from her amnesia on her own? Rainier rolled her eyes. Her name is Calawarner, and I'd say that the chances are quite low based on previous cases. Human treatments won't work, but there are spells and potions that can undo the effects of the ailment, but that would require a specialist healer or an expert chemist. It would take me a few days to get either of them into QO. Get to work on it then. Knowing my mother, she'll probably allow California and the nun to stay here until she recovers or finds family and friends in QO that can take care of her, and I'm certainly not comfortable with her here. The nun would probably be better off not hanging around a member of the Fallen too. No offense, Ray-Ray-chan. None taken. Is there anything else you need me to do? Yes. Continue to keep an eye on Kaleidoscope. Calawarner. Her name is Calawarner. Kaleidoscope for now. If she makes a wrong move, incapacitate her. Be wary of the nun as well. I doubt she knows the fullness of what's really going on, but better safe than sorry. Rainier decided to not bother to correct Issei anymore as she nodded. Okay, I'll do that. I hear your mother coming. Hey, I'll take care of her, you go keep an eye on them. Rainier was about to excuse herself when Issei spoke again. Oh, and Ray-Ray-chan. Cold. Ice cold. The air was cold. The floor was cold. She was cold. Her blood felt like it was becoming hoarfrost. Rainier stood completely still. This was not Issei's wrath or anger. This was his anxiety. The brown-haired male was still washing the dishes, but his voice reminded her of an ancient monarch who was commonly addressing an ordinary peasant. I want to trust you, Rainier. I really, really do. However, I need you to understand this. If I believe your colleague is here to harm my family, I will end her without hesitation and all those who are involved. Understand? Rainier could barely whisper the word yes. Life, warmth, sound, taste, and sight suddenly became a reality again as the beautiful Grigori agent stumbled forward. Her breaths came out ragged as she steadied herself. Issei's voice no longer held power or sway. It was once again the light squeak of a hormonal teenager. Deep breaths. Take a lot of deep breaths. Rainier followed his advice, barely managing to stand up straight again just in time for Mrs. Hayato to enter the kitchen. Forgive me for interrupting your little chat, lovebirds, but could I, Yuma-chan? Are you all right? You look ill. Rainier offered a small smile as she slowly felt her strength returning. I'm fine. I may have just eaten a little too much dessert, that's all. Issei's mother nodded as she rubbed Rainier's back. Ah yes, that's the disadvantage of Issei's brilliant chef skills. The stomach aches and the weight gains. Perhaps I should get something from the medicine cabinet for you. No, I'm sure I'll be fine. I'm going to just freshen up in the restroom. Hinata smiled. Of course, dear. I'll keep my son company until you're ready for him again. Rainier quickly excused herself as Hinata addressed her son. She's such a nice girl. I wonder what she sees in a pervert like you. Issei offered his mother a very wide grin. I have magic fingers. In the kitchen. Yes, I doubt a virgin like you would know the first thing about pleasing a beautiful girl like her. Besides, I'm not ready for grandkids yet. Issei instantly deflated. That's cold, Mom. Hinata smiled as she patted her son on the head. Issei could have sworn that he heard Diedreg chuckling in the dark recesses of his mind. Honesty isn't always comforting, dear. By the way, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. The XD. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. A tall feminine figure was kneeling in the backyard garden of the Hudo household. She was covered in a very large dark blue shawl that kept her identity concealed, her gaze turned upward to a sky decorated by a myriad of stars and constellations. An aura of tranquility permeated the garden and had allowed even her cluttered and confused mind to have a few moments of peace and solitude. It seemed the solitude was not meant to last very long. Was it the Lord's Prayer? To her credit, the feminine figure only jumped slightly as she turned to the source of the voice. Did I wake you, Issei-san? The brown-haired figure of Issei Hudu slowly emerged from a nearby shadow, a dark brown coat hanging loosely from his shoulders. Not at all, Esther. I normally come out here on nights that I can't sleep. I didn't know you'd be out here though. My apologies if I disturbed your prayers. It was a lie. He had been watching Calla all night. He had observed her every move and had followed her when she had excused herself out of the guest room that she had been sharing with Asia. In all honesty, he had expected to catch her doing something that would incriminate her and validate how fraudulent her claims really were. He had not expected to find her praying. Calla nodded slowly as she stood, her cheeks having a slightly rosy tinge. Oh no, it's quite all right. I was just about finished anyways. Please don't stay out in the cold for too long, Issei-san. You might just get sick. You're right. Don't worry. I won't be out here much longer. Esther pulled back her shawl, revealing the dark blue hair that perfectly matched the color of her accessory. A small smile gracing her face as she walked toward Issei. I see. I believe I'll be going to bed as well. Good night. Good night. Calla took 4 evenly placed steps before stopping. Issei eyed her warily. Can I ask you a question, Issei-san? Sure. The fallen angel turned around so that they could face each other. Her features were portraying a mixture of innocence and natural curiosity. Do you believe that God answers prayer? Issei narrowed his eyes by the slightest margin. He had not been expecting this type of question. I don't consider myself an expert in religious or godly matters, but I do believe that if you are sincere and your heart is in the right place, he will answer. A small sad smile carved its way onto Calla's face. I see. Thank you. She turned to leave, but Issei's curiosity had now gotten the better of him. Why do you ask, Esther? The blue-haired beauty turned her focus skyward as she answered. Asia-chan is a firm believer in God and the power of prayer. She's always praying, always thanking him. She says that it's God that brought us together and it's her God-given mission to help me recover. Issei noted Calla's facial expressions with great interest. He seemed to disagree. Calla quickly shook her head as she waved her hands about frantically. Oh no. It's not that I disagree or anything. It's just, I've been praying that I no longer be a burden to Asia-chan. A burden? Calla nodded. Yes, ever since she found me in that alley, Asia-chan has been spending the little money she has on things for me. Clothes, food, and everything else. She has been so incredibly kind to me and I have no way to repay her. That's why I want to get well quickly. I know she doesn't have much left. If your mother had not paid for my hospital visit, we would be in debt and flat broke. Does Asia feel the same way? Calla sighed. She says this is a test of faith for the both of us. She honestly believes that God has everything under control and even us meeting your family is a small part of his providence. Issei smirked. Well, maybe that's what you need more of. Faith. It seems to be doing wonders for Asia. Calla bit her lip as she looked down at her feet. Issei couldn't help but compare this woman to the fallen angel he had encountered some days ago, how their personalities differed so drastically. It's kinda hard to have faith in a God that won't even help me remember my name. The only way this would make sense was if Asia-chan is in fact my guardian angel. Issei almost snorted at the irony of the statement. Even if she isn't your guardian angel, I think it's pretty safe to assume that Asia hurk. Calla's eyes widened in shock as Issei stumbled forward. The blue-haired woman quickly grabbed hold of the young man's shoulders as he began to cough violently. Issei-san. No. Cough, not now. Cough. While Issei tried to converse with Calla, another round of dialogue was happening in his mind. D-Drag. Hold on, partner. This one caught me by surprise. I'm trying to suppress your power as we speak. This must be the feedback from you using it so often in the last few days. Calla used the little strength she had to guide Issei to the small bench in the middle of the backyard. Issei grunted in pain as he sat down. Issei-san, I'm going to get your mother and... No. What? Why? I'll be fine, please. Just don't. Cough. Calla was not convinced as she took note of the radical change of Issei's countenance. His skin was now pale and sweaty, his eyes were shut tight as if he was trying to focus on something important. Calla opened her mouth to speak, to say anything, but she was rendered mute by the fact that Issei was now slowly beginning to glow red. Since when did people glow red? Esther-chan. Issei-kun. The pajama-wearing Asia sprinted past Esther and knelt down before Issei, her hands glowing green. Calla's eyes grew even wider. Asia's hands could glow too. Was this normal? Was this something she had somehow forgotten? Asia tried to calm Issei down as she planted her hands on his chest. Please remain still, Issei-kun, I'm going to heal you. There was a brief pause as the quiet hum of Asia's power grew louder and louder. Calla simply stood transfixed by the sight before her. A few moments passed before Issei's coughing came to an end. Well, I isn't that a neat trick. Asia sighed in relief as she canceled her technique and slowly stood up. Are you feeling better, Issei-kun? Issei took a few deep breaths. Calla noticed that his red aura was no longer present. Somewhat. Those powers. It's definitely a sacred gear, right? Asia nodded, still paying keen attention to Issei's physical appearance. He looked better but nothing close to perfect. Asia looked down at her hands as if her sacred gear was suddenly defective. I'll try again. This has never happened before. My abilities normally heal an ordinary sickness in one go. Issei tiredly lifted a hand in opposition. You've done enough. Asia ... my ... illness isn't anything ordinary. I will be all right. Asia didn't look too convinced, but Issei had already shifted his gaze to the silent Calawarner. The female fallen angel cautiously stepped back from the pair of Asia and Issei. What ... are you guys? Issei grunted as he felt his muscles relaxing. We are humans with special devices known as sacred gears that have granted us special abilities. The power to heal seems to be Asia's gift. Calawarner quickly shifted her attention to the blonde nun. You can ... heal. Asia nodded. Calawarner's eyes narrowed in anger as thoughts of betrayal sparked across her mind. So why haven't you tried healing me? Am I not good enough? Asia quickly stepped forward. Don't even think that way, Esther. I healed you the moment I found you in that alley, broken, bruised, and at death's door. I didn't even stop until I was completely out of power. I swear. The anger in Calawarner's eyes melted away into confusion. So why do I still have amnesia? My powers don't work like that. They heal physical wounds and illnesses. It can't help your amnesia, but that's why we're going back to the hospital tomorrow so they can help with your treatment. Save yourself the time. It won't work. Both Asia and Calawarner turned their attention back to Issei. He was still sitting on the bench, but he looked far healthier and relaxed than in the moments prior to Asia healing him. A knowing smile was plastered on his face. Calawarner didn't like it. What do you mean? Why won't it work? Because human treatments only work on human patients. Asia's mouth remained agape in sheer shock as Calawarner slowly worked out the implications. I'm not human. No, you're what we call a fallen angel. Asia looked back at Calawarner in astonishment. Esther ... is one of the fallen. Yay, I believe her real name is Calawarner. A moment passed before Calawarner began to giggle. Calawarner, what kind of stupid made-up name is that? It's almost as bad as Esther. Asia gasped in disbelief. Esther is a wonderful name. She's a queen who served God. She even has a book in the Bible named after her. And it would have been a fitting name if we were living in the 1800 seconds. I appreciate you wholeheartedly, Asia, but there's no way I'm keeping that name once I get my memories back. Asia pouted and folded her arms. Calawarner isn't that much better. I don't remember anyone with that name from the Bible. Calawarner chuckled as she pat Asia on the head. Issei spoke again. You seem to be taking the news that you're not human fairly well. Calawarner sighed. I always knew there was something off about me. The doctors back at the hospital couldn't take a blood sample because the needles couldn't pierce my skin. They thought it was a rare skin disease, but I didn't feel sick. I felt strong. Fallen angel is a bit of a stretch though. I was hoping I'd be a superhero or something. Asia giggled at the statement before turning to Issei. Issei-kun, how did you know that she was a fallen angel? Have you two met before? Or is that the power of your sacred gear? Issei slowly got up and walked past the two girls. This night had been way too long. He needed to get some sleep. I only encountered Calawarner once. Calawarner and Asia glanced at each other, trying to decipher as to why Issei's sentence lacked much detail. Just as the brown-haired young man was about to disappear into the darkness of the house, he spoke again. She tried to kill me ... but I didn't feel like dying that night, so I politely blasted her across Kuo in the hopes that she would come to her senses. She lost her memory instead. Sorry, my bad. Good night, you two. The next day, Rainer did not expect to get any visitors at the small comfortable apartment that she had rented during her first few months in Kuo. Mostly because she never told anyone about it. Not her supervisors, not her colleagues, not even her acquaintances. It was meant to be her own private spot. A place where she could get away from the stresses of life and unwind a bit without staying too far from where her mission required her to be. The morning had started just like any other morning. Shower, get dressed, make breakfast, think about how annoying Issei would be for the rest of the day, and cursing God for allowing him to be so strong. You know, the regular stuff. Unfortunately, Rainer was not allowed to follow that routine on this faithful morning. As the raven-haired beauty stepped into the small kitchen to get breakfast ready, she noticed the half-mug of very warm coffee on the kitchen counter. A millisecond that stretched on for a millennia passed in silence. And then came the movement. Rainer was one fluid, graceful motion as she spun on her heel. A crimson lance of light already swirling in her hands as she attempted to cause harm to the presence behind her. T-word, attempted. Her beautifully orchestrated attack was foiled by one massive hand, clamping down on her wrist. A firm yet gentle voice brought identity to the intruder. Stand down, Rainer. You might actually destroy the building and attract unwanted attention. Rainer's eyes widened as she powered down the spear of light. BBB Barakil-sama. The vice commander of the Grigori nodded as he released Rainer's wrist and stepped back. The trademark serious expression that he was famous for remained firm despite the fact that one of his underlings had tried to kill him. Forgive me for entering your premises unannounced, but I could not return to the underworld without sharing some intel that Azazel wishes for you to know. Rainer nodded slowly as she tried to calm her nerves. After the Greybleck incident, a team was dispatched to this region to ensure that no other unaccounted for fallen angels were in this area. The team believed that there was another group of wayward Grigori agents stationed in Kyo's abandoned Christian church. Rainer tried her best to not have a physical reaction. They found out about Donosik and the others. Barakil continued. Unfortunately, when I got here this morning, the group had managed to abandon their base of operations and escape. We're not sure of who they are, what they're up to, and to where their allegiances lie, but we can't afford another mishap between us and the Devil Society. It would cause trouble. Rainer nodded again. Playing the part of the good soldier was practically second nature at this point. Yes, sir, I agree. What can I do to help? You are not to divert time or energy from your original mission, but the High Council requests that you keep an ear to the ground and report anything that can help. You are one of the few agents we have on the ground that is so well acquainted with the area. Rainer mentally sighed as she responded. Understood. I'll do what I can, sir. Barakil nodded as he turned to leave. By the way, Rainer, sir, I'm going to assume that this apartment is not on your file because you forgot to report it to the records department. Please correct that whenever you return. You will be reimbursed for the coffee I drank while I was here. Goodbye. Rainer nodded weakly as the vice commander closed her door behind him. She had no idea where the group would go now that they were discovered. She'd just have to hope that they'd lay low for a while before making any more moves. A thought crossed her mind as she nervously poured herself her own cup of coffee. Calawarner would know though. I have to get that chemist here soon. I have a bad feeling about this. DXD. Later that night, Riaz carefully observed the abandoned house in front of with great interest. Her peerage stood behind her anxiously anticipating the coming battle. The red-headed devil glanced at her knight. This is the place, Kiba. Kiba nodded. The stray has been luring people into that building and has been eating them. Kaneko unknowingly voiced her master's concern. I can't sense any demonic aura from in there. Akino responded. It could have learnt the ability to mask its presence. Riaz concluded the argument, which means it's more dangerous than we thought. Stick to the plan. We move together. When we find it, we distract it, weaken it, and then destroy it. Stay in formation. Understood. 3 silent nods were the replies to Ria's question. A small confident smile graced her face as she turned her attention back to the abandoned house. This was not going to be like their last fight. She had spent too much time strategizing and the planning for that to happen. They were going to win. Flash. Egg. A bright golden light flashed in the house that quickly followed by a small shockwave that almost sent Riaz and her peerage tumbling to the ground. The cry of pain that they heard was probably that of their target, the stray devil. Kiba pulled out his katana out of the sheath as he looked around for possible enemies. What was that? Akino's eyebrows were furrowed as lightning started to crackle around her fingertips. I don't know, but whatever it is, it's very powerful. Riaz nodded. Yes, and very ancient. There were a few moments of silence as the Grimory peerage watched the front door of the house for any sign of the stray demon or the source of that highly concentrated magical power. Click. The front door was opening. Riaz stood a little in front of her peerage as to make sure they would not be caught in any blast of her destruction magic. The Occult Research Club president decided to take the initiative. Halt. Identify yourself. I am Riaz of the Grimory clan and I am the overseer of this town. Who are you and what is your business here? A familiar squeaky voice bounced out of the shadowed doorway. Me and Lizzie just wanted some ice cream. A comical anime-style sweat drop appeared over each head as Issei exited the abandoned house, with the eagle-sized red dragon emperor perched on his shoulder. Riaz blinked. Issei, why are you here? As I said, we wanted ice cream, and while we were walking past here, we heard a female voice calling us for free ice cream in this old creepy abandoned house. Kaneko frowned. And you believed her? Issei shrugged. Who would turn down the chance of free ice cream? Hugh Kaneko facepalm. Kiba continued the impromptu interrogation. And you fought the demon? D-Drag was the one to answer this time. Indeed, and we were quite upset that there wasn't any ice cream. Riaz sighed heavily. And I suppose you dealt with her quite easily. What kind of attacks did she use? Issei smirked. 2 words. Nipple lasers. Akino started to giggle. Nipple lasers. D-Drag did the dragon equivalent of a shrug. Interestingly enough, he's not lying about that. I knew that devils were freaky, but that was just weird. Issei's eyes brightened. Wait, can you girls shoot lasers out of your nipples too? Ria's mouth fell open. Akino looked down at her own breasts in honest curiosity. Kiba was trying his best not to think about it. And Kaneko was just staring right back at Issei. The staring contest continued for a few more seconds before Issei smiled and stooped down so he would be face to face with the white-haired lowly. Well, I guess your lasers would be teeny-weeny huff. All eyes bugged out as Kaneko slammed her fist into Issei's face and sent him sailing back into the house. Strangely enough, D-Drag had hopped of Issei's shoulder a few moments before the punch and was not thrown violently into the house like his companion. An awkward silence fell upon the group before D-Drag spoke again. Under normal circumstances I would have killed you for that, child. But this time I'll let it slide. He deserved it. Kaneko bowed in thanks as Akino tried to look into the house's shadows. Is he okay? A voice from inside the house echoed loudly. Oh www. My everything who hurts and now I feel dizzy. Another awkward silence followed by which all assumed that Issei was unconscious. D-Drag sighed. The Fallen is going to blame me for this. Please excuse me as I go get my idiot. You all should go home as well. The Gremory peerage simply nodded as Aquino prepared the transportation seal. Ria spoke up just as the magic circle flared to life. Red Dragon Emperor Sama. The Green Eyes Beast paused mid-flight to answer the Gremory clan heiress. Yes, child. Please let Issei know that I will have an answer for him by Monday. I am not a messenger beast, child. Each member of the Gremory household physically recoiled by the small demonstration of power that D-Drag mixed with his voice. But on this occasion, I'll allow it. Now leave before you test my patience any further. With a quick flick of her wrist, Aquino activated the power of the seal, whisking her and the rest of the peerage away from the seemingly annoyed legendary dragon. D-Drag chuckled as he slowly flew back into the house. There was no greater joy than to have people fleeing your presence out of fear. He found Issei standing over the ashes of the demon that had identified herself as Visor. Was being punched the only way you could think of to get back in here? Issei smirked. It was the quickest. I wouldn't want Ria's in company to CWX had I was up to in here. Thanks for chasing them away too. I'm sure they were going to pester me about the source of the golden light that they saw. It was my pleasure. What was the purpose of this experiment of yours? Issei looked back down at Visor's ashes and smiled. I'll explain it to you on the way to the ice cream shop. It seems I've been approaching our problem from the wrong angle this entire time. Tell me the truth. Are you absolutely sure I wasn't some kind of high-end prostitute? That actually seems far more believable than the whole I'm a fallen angel suffering from amnesia story. The clothes aren't that bad, Calawarner. Calawarner's head popped up from behind the door of a lavish bedroom closet. The blue-haired woman's gaze was directed at the raven-haired beauty that was sitting on the room's queen-sized bed. Have you seen my skirts? None of them even come close to covering my knees, not even one of them. Rainier rolled her eyes as her friend continued to search through her own closet, making snarky little comments at every article of clothing she saw. As I told you before, that was just a part of your style. Your clothes made a statement. While we were in heaven, we were always told to stay all pure and modest. I think you chose your current wardrobe out of a rebellious inclination more than anything else. Calawarner scoffed as she walked out of the closet, turning her interests to a stack of bills on her bedside table. I'm pretty sure I could have rebelled against God or heaven or whoever without giving everyone a free show. I must have been the ultimate sleazeball magnet. Rainier nodded. Indeed you were. It wasn't a completely bad thing though. Those so-called sleazeballs were oftentimes rich and well-connected. I'm quite sure you had put their various resources to proper use. Calawarner looked away from the papers in her hands to stare at Rainier in disbelief. So let me get this straight. I have superhuman abilities, a gorgeous body, and a wealth of mystical knowledge, but the career path that I chose was professional gold digger. Rainier thought about it for a few seconds. Well, sort of. Calawarner groaned audibly. Rainier thought it wise to share just a few more details. You manage an information network that spans several parts of South America, Asia, and Africa. You can't do that without having money and the right contacts. Believe me when I say that you are one of the Gregory's most important members. Calawarner blushed a bit as a very large grin spread across her face. So basically, I'm the James Bond of our organization. Rainier chuckled. No, I'm the James Bond of our organization. You're more like a sexier, gold digger version of M. Calawarner was pouting. Fuck you, I don't want to be M. Oh my, what would your nun friend say if she found out her new friend had such a potty mouth? Calawarner opened her mouth to respond but didn't bother. Rainier could tell from the look on her friend's face that she was no longer in a joking mood. Calawarner, did any of missions ever involve me working directly against members of the Christian church? Rainier blinked in surprise. That question had not been expected. She decided to play it safe. Azazel-sama has no interest in picking any fights with heaven. Despite our differences, we are currently in a non-aggression treaty that also covers the members of the various godly religions. On rare occasions, we even find ourselves working alongside members of the church. Calawarner seemed relieved. Rainier was now getting worried. Her answer wasn't the complete truth, but she couldn't trust that Calawarner didn't remember anything. Ah, that's good. Asia is a good person, not only because of what she's done, but I can tell that she genuinely cares about my well-being and the well-being of others. I only hope that I'll have the opportunity to pay her back for her kindness one day, even if I don't get to see her as often. Rainier bit her lip. There was absolutely no way in hell she could tell Calawarner the truth about why Asia was in QO now. She could only hope that her restored memories would erase or at least supplant the feelings she now had for the blonde nun. The fallen angel spy was shaken from her train of thought as Calawarner spoke. Speaking of Asia, are you sure she's safe with that insanely powerful pervert? Rainier blinked a few times before smirking. He's just escorting her to the church. As long as she doesn't do anything stupid like attack his porn, he won't have any reason to hurt her. Calawarner shook her head even though she did plan to ask about the whole attacking his porn comment later. No, I don't mean like that. What if he takes advantage of the fact that she's crushing on him? Rainier snorted rather loudly. As much of a pervert the brat is, one of the first things I learned about him was that he doesn't force himself on his targets. According to Issei, the proper method is to charm, woo, and then said ... Did you just say that the nun is crushing on him? Calawarner nodded slowly as if Rainier was asking one of the dumbest questions ever. Of course she is. Did you not see the relief on her face when you two revealed to us that your relationship wasn't legit? She was practically glowing with hope. Poor love-struck little puppy. Rainer's eyebrows twitched. A phantom pain could be felt in the middle of her shoulder blades. An itch in the back of her mind begged to be scratched. She had allowed Issei and that girl to go off on their own together alone I in the city. That blonde bimbo she had a crush on Issei. Her Issei. Suddenly the itch was gone and Rainer now realized what she had just expressed to herself in the safety of her mind. My Issei, since when has he? I really need to distress or something, my brain's flipping out. I mean Rainer, you good. Rainer nodded her head even though a tsunami of questions and thoughts swept across her mind without hesitation. I'm fine. So bringing you here was a complete bust, huh? I was hoping you'd remember something by seeing one of your apartments. Calawarner shrugged. Well, I wouldn't say it was a complete bust. Rainer's eyes widened as Calawarner flashed several high-quality debit cards that she had more than likely found in the apartment. How about we go on a shopping spree and get me some decent clothes and a few other basic necessities? Rainer's grin spread far and wide as she stood. Despite the fact that Calawarner didn't remember much, she was sure that her friend was still in there, somewhere, waiting to wake up. The XD. Issei-kun. Asia. This is it. Yup. Are you sure? I've lived in this city for all of my life. There's only one Christian church around and this is it. Asia nodded as she turned her focus back onto the building in front of her. Yes. But this place is deserted, in need of great repair, locked up. Yes. All of those. Issei watched with natural curiosity as Asia attempted to make sense of what was in front of her. It was rather obvious to him that the building had not been in use by the church for some time. There was no why people would try to worship an omnipotent God in such a crappy building, right? The few Christians that might have lived in Kyoto probably went to another close-by town for worship. His eyes narrowed as he caught sight of an angelic statue right near the entrance. A stone figure did show obvious signs of natural decay, but Issei could also recognize intentional acts of vandalism that had been carried out on the statue. The citizens of Kyoto were rather suspicious and spiritual people. He never heard stories of them disrespecting other religions or gods. The cuts on the statue were also a little too smooth to be done by an ordinary human. It could have been the work of a devil. It would make sense, disfiguring a statue that represented the exact opposite of what the devil community stood for. But there was still something about this that seemed rather weird. He just couldn't put his finger on it. Asia still seemed rather troubled by the development, so he chimed in with a suggestion. Well, can't you just reach out to your superiors and find out if there was some kind of mistake? Asia thought about the idea for a few seconds before lowering her gaze. As far as Issei could see, it was almost as if she was reliving a horrible memory. It wouldn't be as easy as that for me. It would take some time to reach the right people. Asia didn't seem to want to share any more, and her brown-haired companion had no intention to push the issue. Well, that's fine. Knowing my mom, she'd probably tell you to stay with us until you have your business sorted out. Asia smiled sweetly. Your family has been infinitely kind to me, Issei-kun. God bless all of you. I'm going to do my best to help around the house so as not to be too much of a burden. Issei scratched the back of his head. Think nothing of it. My parents are just like may also be enjoying teaching you and Cleopatra about the finer arts of being a proper housewife a little too much. Asia giggled. Calawarner, Issei. Her name is Calawarner. Isn't that what I said? Asia giggled again before sparing one last look at the church. I suppose we should get back. I hope Rainer-chan and Calawarner have been more successful than us in their endeavors. Issei scratched his chin as he walked side by side with the blonde sacred gear user. Ray is just taking her to a few spots that might jog her memory a bit. It's not a foolproof plan, but we might as well do something while we wait for whoever's bringing that cure. Asia nodded in understanding. I wonder what kind of person the real Calawarner is. Issei was just about to pass a sarcastic remark when a rather troubling sound interrupted his train of thought. Jiararuer. Issei blinked as he looked over at a heavily blushing Asia. The green-eyed beauty scratched her cheek. I guess skipping breakfast was a bad idea. Issei smirked before speaking. Well, we're in no real rush. Let me take you to the best burger joint in Kyoto. Trust me, the milkshakes are so thick you have to go through them with a spoon. Asia titled her head in natural curiosity as she spoke. What is a burger and a milkshake? Issei's visage suddenly darkened as his hand slowly rested on Asia's head. Asia, I now know why your God has brought me into your life. Asia's eyes widened. Really? A single tear ran down Issei's left cheek. Yes. My purpose on this planet is so I could have opened a beautiful young lady's eyes to the guilty pleasures known as junk food. Onward, we must not wait another second. Asia barely managed a shout of surprise as Issei grabbed her hand and took off at Mach speed, heading straight into the city center. Under normal circumstances, the young nun would have begged Issei to slow down or at least allow her to walk under her own power. But her mind was too busy replaying a few choice words that had slipped from her companion's lips. A beautiful young lady. Beautiful. Issei-kun thinks I'm beautiful. On that day, the citizens of Kyoto could not decide what was the stranger sight. The brown-haired maniac that ran through town screaming about burgers, pizza, and level 7 food-related emergency, or the blushing nun that was being dragged along by him that seemed to be caught up in her own little world. It was definitely the brown-haired kid. The next day, Monday morning, Warning Ray-Chan, I must say you're looking rather ravishing in my school's uniform. Bite me, only if you moan and beg. Raina rolled her eyes as she tried to look anywhere but at Issei's face. She knew that a perverted grin would be literally carved into his features right now. Take your eyes off me or I rip them out of your skull. Consequences be damned. That applies to the rest of the time I'll have to spend at your crappy school too. Issei narrowed his eyes at Rainer as they made their way to Kyo Academy. You seem rather upset, Ray-Chan. You all right? Rainer exhaled. Just a bad hangover. Issei nodded. I'll have the nurse ... or bet yet I'll ask Akino-senpai to make you a cup of tea. Rainer shook her head. I'll be fine. That was not the truth. The problem started when Rainer and Calawarner returned to the Hudu residence yesterday evening. They were just in time to witness Issei and Asia cooking dinner together as Issei's mother had not come home yet. The pair of Issei and Asia seemed so bubbly, connected and happy that it annoyed Rainer to no end. Even Calawarner had openly commented on the duo's uncanny synergy, which was enough to draw a blush from Asia and a grin from a rather pleased Issei. That fucking little perv, what was he grinning about, huh? The chumminess between them was just a little too much to handle, and Rainer quickly excused herself from their company and ended the night having drunk sex with the most handsome guy she could find at her favorite bar. That had not helped the situation. It only made her feel ... even more annoyed, and she just couldn't figure out why. But whenever her mind replayed any image of Issei and Asia together, that itch in the back of her mind grew in strength. Oh, I forgot to mention that something happened yesterday. Rainer narrowed her eyes at her ward. What do you mean when you say something happened? Yesterday while me and Asia were on our way home, I could definitely sense that someone was watching us. The Gremory clan again. No, this was different. I can't tell you much more, but the individual definitely chose to keep their distance. When I felt like they were getting too close, I asked Lizzie to distract them with his kai so we could get away. I was not interested in starting a superpowered magic fight in public. Rainer nodded. I see. I'll look into it. Speaking of people that are watching you, Issei instantly directed his gaze towards the school gate that he and Rainer were now facing. The president and vice president of the occult research was standing at the gate, the both of them passing on polite greetings and words to all those that had recognized them. Issei and Rainer approached them slowly. As they did, the entire crowd around the famous group parted and entered into the academy's grounds. No other students seemed interested in greeting them again either. It was obviously the use of magic. Issei whistled as he watched the disinterested students walk past them. I really have to learn how to do that. Good morning, ladies. Ria stepped forward. Good morning, Issei-kun, and welcome to Kyo Academy. Rainer, or is it be Amano Yuuma? Rainer nodded. You're correct, Ria-sen. Amano Yuuma will be my name while I'm here. Ria smiled. Good. The student council president also looks forward to greeting you when the time is right. Issei smirked. That's great, but I'm sure you didn't wait on us at the school gate just to tell us that. Ria smiled approvingly. Indeed, I am here to let you know that I'm accepting your offer. Of course you are. It is the wisest decision. Issei pulled out a small slip of paper out of his top pocket. This is for you. Akino smirked as she narrowed her eyes. A love letter from an underclassman. I didn't know you were so brave, Issei-kun. Issei chuckled. It's no love letter, it's a list of books I'm hoping to have made available to me in the next week. Just making sure you fulfill your part of the bargain. Ria's pocketed the list. Of course, the Occult Research Club begins at 4 p.m. each evening. I expect you to be there promptly. I look forward to a profitable experience working with you. Issei smirked. A very profitable experience indeed. DXD, undisclosed location. Middleton narrowed her eyes as she reread the message that she had just received on her newly bought phone. The mad exorcist that they had left behind in Kyo had spotted Asia in broad daylight and had failed to grab her. The reason behind that was still not clearly explained. Among the several lines of profanity and blasphemous claims, Selzen stated several times that he started to feel nauseous and disoriented every time he came too close to Asia and the young man accompanying her. That didn't make any sense. It was more than likely some sort of illusion magic that had caught the excommunicated priest off guard. In her response, she warned him to be careful and more vigilant, as Asia was key to the success of their first sacred gear removal attempt. Whoever was accompanying Asia would more than likely have to be removed from the situation. She needed to get into contact with Rainer again to see what she had found out on her end. The blonde fallen angel slipped her phone into her pocket as she went downstairs to share the new information with Donosik. The fedora-wearing member of the Grigori had managed to assemble a team who had worked assiduously to figure out the ancient relic's limits. They could not afford any mistakes or accidents. The XD, the hallway leading to Issei's class. Say that again. Issei smiled. I'm saying that you don't have to pretend you're my girlfriend while you're here at Kyo. Rainer folded her arms as she tried to get a proper read on the perverted smile that seemed superglued to Issei's face. And what exactly caused this change of heart? You were insistent on this just a few days ago. Issei scratched the back of his head, a small blush adding color to his cheeks. Well. Rainer growled. Talk. Now. Issei reacted out of fear more than anything else as his sentence came out as one combined word. You rest and dinga me way off getting a threesome. Repeat that, but slower. You're ... the only thing standing in between me and a threesome. Rainer blinked. How? Issei perked up. Well, there's this kendo club at school that me, Matsuda, and Madohama always spy on while they're changing. Rainer was growling again. Issei and I. Wait. Let me tell the full story. Those girls wanted us to spy on them. Have you finally watched enough cheap porn that it's rotted your brain? Hey, my porn isn't cheap. That's not the point, Issei. I think it is. No, the point is you claim that these girls wanted you to spy on them, an entire kendo club full of females. Issei scratched his chin. Okay, maybe not all of them, but most of them. How did you come to that stupid conclusion? Issei, every time the girls caught us, they would beat us up but never report us to the higher authorities to get us suspended or expelled. They punished us but never took it too seriously. That doesn't. Also, 2 months ago they had a fundraiser to improve the club's facilities and got a whole new set of changing rooms but still decide to change in the older room where they could be seen from. That still doesn't. In addition, when someone from the student council suggested to the girls that they could tear down the wooden fence that provided me and my friends a peephole and replace it with a higher concrete wall, the girls utterly rejected the idea without explaining themselves. So maybe. And then a few days ago, I challenged the top brass of the kendo club to an all-or-nothing match. If I won, they would admit to their perverted desires and allow the 3 of us to join the kendo club. If we lost, we would be their servants for the rest of our tenure at Kyo. And you won. Issei puffed out his chest. Of course I did. And just as I thought, a lot of those girls were overly frustrated exhibitionists who just wanted a little attention. This school is insane. Indeed, that's why we love it. That still doesn't explain why you might be getting a threesome. Based on what I've been observing, there's something up with the 2 girls in my class who are leaders of the kendo club. I think losing to me was a big turn-on for them. Rainer face-palmed. We're all Japanese human teenagers, just horny little gremlins. Issei continued. Anyways, here's the thing. There is one thing that Kyo girls do not do is mess around with someone who is taken. If it is confirmed that a guy is off the market, all of their interest is directed somewhere else. It's a rather weird phenomenon. Rainer nodded. I see. Issei smiled. Good. The perverted trio will finally be victorious. Rainer facepalmed again. That's what you call yourselves. They called us that and we just ran with it. Of course. Right. Anyways, the teacher is here, so time for your big introduction. You ready? As ready as I'll ever be. DXD. Good morning, class. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Yuma Amano. She will be a member of this class from now on. She's transferring from one of our sister schools in the south. Please let her feel welcome. Is there anything you want to say, Yuma? Rainer stopped forward, enjoying the looks, the hushed whispers, and the not-so-hushed exclamations of how beautiful she really was. She did appreciate the compliments, even though it was merely a portion of her true beauty. She began her introduction. Hello, my name is Yuma Amano. I'm new to this area, so please take care of me and I. And then in that moment, she saw him. Issei was just sitting there, smiling at her, in her mind diverted for a split second. In that moment she realized she had an opportunity to sever the possible ties between Issei and the girls of Kyo. Rainer didn't realize that this was her green-eyed emotion known as jealousy speaking. She couldn't identify the smooth, silky voice that had proposed such a plan. She already had to deal with Asia. She had no intention of allowing this. Issei would not have his threesome. Issei would not have any girl here. She would make sure of that. Rainer smiled and Issei felt a cold, terrible breeze encircle him. The wielder of the boosted gear could only watch in horror as the smiling raven-haired witch put an end to his hopes and ambitions. I am the fiancé of Issei Hyudo. The teacher fell backwards. What? The girls jumped up from their seats. Kyaa. The boys gave Issei the dirtiest looks they could muster while Matsuda and Madohama started to call him a traitor to the perverted way. Issei sat there quietly looking into the eyes of the woman that betrayed him. You little bitch. And then ... and then she said ... that I was her fiancé. Waahhhh. Akino smiled softly as Issei buried his face into her lap and bawled his eyes out. The violet-eyed devil responded by lovingly rubbing the teenager's back in an attempt to soothe his pain. That's it, Issei-kun, let it all out. You'll feel better when you do. Waahhhh. Kiba watched the sad scene for a few more seconds before shaking his head. A question escaped his lips as he continued to polish one of his swords. So you miss out on a chance with some high school girls. What's the big deal? Issei's head bolted upwards from Akino's lap. His face was contorted into a gory embodiment of agony and strife. This wasn't your ordinary high school fling or make-out session, Blondie. This was a threesome. Many men have lived their lives in the hopes of scoring such a grand privilege and have died without ever coming close. I was there. I was at the borders of the promised land and that damned witch stole it from me. A female voice eagerly called out from the other side of the room. Please note that this damned witch is just a few feet away from you and is hearing your every word. Issei grimaced. Go to hell, you evil bitch. The voice replied in a very mocking tone. I've been to hell. It's a little too hot for me, but the locals and other tourists enjoy the saunas, hot springs, and lava baths. I hear that the males there get into kinky threesomes all the time. Hearing the T word again was enough to drive Issei back into depression. Even ugly demons are getting more threesomes than me. Wahhhh. Rainer's evil smile curved perfectly as she watched Issei wallow in self-pity. She had thought that the only achievement that could ever make her feel this happy and accomplished was to be recognized by Azazel-sama as the very best of the best and to attain the highest rank of prestige within the hierarchy of the Grigori. Yes, without a doubt that would indeed be her greatest joy, but this feeling was almost just as good. To finally have a win over that idiotic, insensitive, unbelievably powerful brat was just too much of an adrenaline rush for her to deny its potency. For all those days of him taunting, mocking and teasing her, she had finally dealt a hammer blow to that little pervert and his ludicrous intentions. It felt good. It felt oh so right. I should celebrate. Maybe a night on the town. The best liquor and junk food my money can buy sounds just about right. Maybe I should bring Caliwarner along. Might help jog her memory. We did party a lot when we were just thrown out of heaven. Good times. Fallen angel. Your name is Rainer, correct? Rainer wasn't surprised to hear the voice of the white-haired lowly that was now standing before her. From the very moment she and Issei had entered the Orcs Club room, the fallen angel had felt the young female devil watching her closely. A Grigori spy responded to Kaniko's question with one of her own. Yes, is there something I can assist you with, Devil-san? You are the one that has caused this perverted idiot to suffer great pain and loss, correct? Rainer narrowed her eyes. Yes, and Kaniko smirked as she pulled out a small candy bar from her pocket and handed it to Rainer. Good job. Rainer blinked a few times before accepting the sweet. She recognized it as a rather expensive chocolate that could only be found in high-end pastry stores. You're welcome. Kiba seemed naturally impressed. Wow, Kaniko-chan never shares those types of chocolates. She must really like you or appreciate what you did. Issei had a completely different opinion. It's all of my dastardly enemies forming some type of evil, unholy, unperverted alliance. Why would you evil miscreant seek to destroy my every chance at gratuitous sexual encounters? You are the real villains here. Protect me, senpai. Soft giggles escaped Akino's covered mouth as Issei buried his face into her tummy and he wrapped his around her slender waist. Kaniko frowned. It's us females that need protection from you, moron. Issei snuffled as he turned to Kaniko. I'm a nice pervert if you get to know me. I give very nice hugs too. Do you want one, shorty? First one's always free. Kaniko's muscles tensed. Don't make me have to break your arms, perv. Oh my, aren't we all so energetic today? Each person in the room turned their attention to the now open clubhouse door as they greeted a smiling Rias. A pink hue quickly stained Kaniko's cheeks. Forgive me if I was rude, Madam President. Rias chuckled as she walked over to Kaniko and placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. It's fine, Kaniko. Even though Issei is our guest and ally, there's nothing wrong with expressing yourself, especially when provoked like that. If the moment ever arrives, please don't damage him too much as we do need his assistance for the time being. Kaniko nodded. Yes, Madam President. Rias turned her attention to Issei. I suppose any thought of you actually getting along with my peerage and not angering them needlessly was wishful thinking. Issei pulled himself away from Akino so he could scratch his chin. Pretty much. I never did promise to get along with anyone, did I? Rias sighed. No, I suppose not. However, I would appreciate it if you didn't have to irritate them so frequently. Issei shrugged. I'll take it into consideration. Akino chose that moment to speak. Rias, I've just had the most wonderful idea. Rias' left eyebrow arched upward. Oh, and what would that idea be? Akino smiled brightly. We should have a threesome with Issei to make him feel better. A literal second of silence passed before. Slap, slap, snap. The two slaps were Kiba and Kaniko facepalming at the words of their own vice president. It was not that they had been completely surprised. Akino was known for being quite random and carefree at times. She often joked about such matters in the company of the Grimoire peerage. However, when it concerned the source of the snap, the candy bar that Kaniko had handed to Rainer was now in pieces at the fallen angel's feet. An overly obvious twitch could be seen over her right eye. Rainer had made a mistake. She had claimed victory far too early. She had miscalculated. She had forgotten. Her lie had not destroyed Issei's chance with every single female on the campus. While Rainer had foolishly concentrated her time and energy on her human counterpart, she should have been focusing on a much larger threat. The women of the Occult Research Club. Kaniko seemed to hate Issei, so there really wasn't any issue there, but she was almost sure she could sense what looked like genuine interest from Barakiel's rebellious daughter. To make matters even worse, even the Grimoire clan heiress would flirt with Issei just a bit too much for Rainer's liking. Rainer's reaction seemed to go unnoticed by the brown-haired human who simply replied to Akino's suggestion with a smile and a shake of the head. As awesome and mind-blowing that would be, I have to decline. I promised myself a long time ago that I wouldn't take any pity threesomes until I was like old and wrinkly. I don't like going back on my word. Thanks for the offer though, Akino-senpai. It means a lot to me to know that you care so much. Rainer stopped twitching long enough to narrow her eyes at the brown-haired teenager she had been ordered to serve. Did Issei just turn down a chance at a threesome? With Ria's Grimoire involved? Is this some sort of trick or have I driven him insane? Ria smirked as she walked over to her desk. Not many men I know would turn down the chance with two devil women. Perhaps you're not the sex-crazed fiend we all make you out to be, Issei-kun. Issei scratched his chin, a small grin decorating his lips. Does that mean you were about to agree with Senpai's proposal? Rias cupped her hands beneath her perfectly shaped face as her gaze locked with Issei's. I guess you'll have to find that out another time. Another time indeed. Rainer began to twitch again. There was something about the interactions between Issei, Rias, and Aquino that annoyed her endlessly. She just couldn't put her finger on it. It wasn't jealousy. Certainly not. Why would she be jealous? She was a supreme mystical being. He was a human that had been lucky to get a powerful sacred gear. So what if those devil whores kept flirting with him? They only wanted him for his power. As Azel-sama saw his potential, the Grigori saw him first. They deserved to have him first. She deserved to have him first. What? Rainer shook her a few times as she attempted to clear her own mental cobwebs. It was obvious that she had been working too hard, and being exposed to that brat and his idiocy for long periods of time may have driven her partially insane. She needed a vacation. A long one. Away from this stupid city. Away from this stupid school. Rainer paused in the midst of her thoughts to take another look at Issei having a friendly chat with Aquino while her hand rested on his thigh. A pang of fleeting anger flashed through her heart, leaving the beginnings of an emotional storm she could not even hope to identify. Most of all, I need to get away from him. The XD instinct. It could be defined as the innate behavioral response that animals and people would have towards certain stimuli. But even mystical creatures were not exempt. While the amnesia had hastily departed with some of Calla Warner's knowledge, a large chunk of her memories and pieces of her identity, her instincts had remained completely intact. It was confusing at first, trying to figure out what the little sensations and voices in the back of her mind really meant, but after talking with Rainer she had come to understand that all Grigori field agents had gone through serious training, and certain behaviors, reactions had become second nature to them. She was more than grateful at this point. How else would she have realized that they were being followed? The agenda for the afternoon was for the blue-haired fallen angel to spoil Asia a bit with some entertainment and a little sightseeing. Hua was a rather large city overflowing with restaurants, historical sites, and attractions. Issei had promised to give them the grand tour one day, but Calla Warner saw no harm in them checking out a few of Kyo's hotspots beforehand. They had just arrived at Kyo's botanical garden when one of Calla Warner's sensations returned. A small annoying itch in the back of her head that would just not stop. At first Calla Warner tried to brush it off as paranoia from being around too many people. But the more she tried to ignore the itch, the stronger it got. Her muscles soon began to feel tense, her senses heightened, and she suddenly felt like every single person in the park was intruding in her personal space. Asia was at first a little too caught up in praising the Lord for all of his creative works to notice her friend's discomfort, but as time passed the blonde nun noticed her friend's rather strange expressions and spoke. I mean Calla Warner, are you all right? Calla Warner nodded as she took a few deep breaths. She had no intention of worrying Asia over what she herself still had no proper explanation for. I just need to find a restroom, that's all. Those yakitori we bought earlier aren't agreeing too well with my stomach. Asia grimaced. Oh no. Well, we just passed a bathroom a few minutes ago. Do you want me to follow you back? Calla Warner shook her head. No, that's fine. Keep looking around. I'll be back before you know it. Asia studied her friend's expression for a few seconds before sighing. Okay, but if you're not back in 15 minutes, I'm coming to find you. Calla Warner managed to smirk. I'll be back in half that time. So stop worrying and enjoy yourself for once. Calla Warner mentally sighed in relief as Asia nodded before continuing on her own tour of the beautiful gardens. With the blonde preoccupied, Calla Warner could focus on what her body and mind were trying to tell her. She'd have to follow whatever direction her instincts were driving her to. The XD. Ria smiled delightfully as she took a moment to study each person before. Her authoritarian voice was gentle yet firm. Now that we've all had our fun, it's best we get down to business. Issei leaned forward. I agree wholeheartedly. Rias nodded. The books that you requested from our family library will be here tomorrow. You will be able to read them in the clubroom or at the school library in your own time if you wish. You will not be allowed to bring them off campus. Issei returned her nod. Understandable. You also have my thanks. Now that my part of the agreement is being carried out, what would you like your executioner to do for you? Yes, about that. There's some information I would like to share with you, but... Ria's eyes trailed over to Rainer. The black-haired fallen angel returned her gaze with a challenging gaze of her own. Is there a problem, Ria-sen? Some of the information I'm about to share is confidential. I understand that you have a duty as Issei's guardian, but how does that coincide with his agreement with me? Rainer opened her mouth to answer, but Issei beat her to it. Rainer won't accompany me on missions unless her assistance is absolutely necessary. Furthermore, I won't share any confidential information I receive from you with her. She may be my guardian, but she also takes her orders from me. Rainer prepared a rather scathing response to Issei's statement, but suddenly found herself silenced by the look she was now on the receiving end of. Isn't that right, Ray-Chan? Rainer nodded quickly. Rias didn't seem convinced. Based on the intel we've gathered, she's a very well-trained Grigori spy. How do we know that she won't use this opportunity to go behind our backs and retrieve valuable intel for the Grigori? She won't. She's well aware of the consequences of betraying my orders. Rias arched an eyebrow. Which are her untimely death at my hands. I see. Yay, but just so you know, if I ever get proof that any member of your peerage are in some way or form trying to set Rainier up or try to use or harm her, I will kill every single one of you. She may be an evil bitch, but she's an evil bitch that's also my friend and first girlfriend. Rias chuckled as the rest of her peerage became a little uneasy. Rainier was rather surprised to hear Issei defend her like that. You should really break out of the habit of threatening your allies, Issei-kun. Threat is such an ugly word, Rias-senpai. Let's call it a subclause in our contractual agreement. Very well. I agree to your conditions if you agree to mine. Indeed. Issei turned to Rainier. I'll call you when I'm done. Meet up at the usual place. Rainier frowned. She didn't like the idea of leaving Issei alone with ... her ... She knew there was no point in arguing when the sacred gear user was in business mode. Don't take too long, brat. I have other important business I want to carry out before the night is finished. Getting wasted by yourself is now categorized as important business. Shut up. The XD. Calawarner was a little underwhelmed. After spending the last few minutes carefully searching the areas of dense foliage and forestry surrounding the botanical gardens, she had finally found the culprit behind her little itch. A short brown-haired man was watching Asia sniff flowers. Calawarner wasn't sure if he was some type of pervert or stalker. He looked more like a nicely dressed thug if anything else. She highly doubted that he had any good or innocent intention for her friend. The fallen angel's curiosity piqued when the man pulled out his cell phone and took a picture of the blonde nun. She had decided that she had seen enough before jumping down out of her treetop hiding spot. The sound of her landing was enough to get the prying man's attention. The thug swung around quickly, reaching his right hand into his waist. What the hell? Who's there? Calawarner slowly stood straight. Only me. Wait ... the chick that was with the nun. How the hell did you even know I was watching you? Call it a gut feeling. The man frowned as he pulled out a handgun. Well, your gut feeling has gotten you into a lot of trouble. How about me and you go get your friend? Would make me a whole lot richer. Calawarner smirked. How about ... In a flash, Calawarner had moved. Her plan was simple. As rusty as she was in the practical uses of her superior abilities, she was sure she could easily grab the thug's gun before knocking him out with a well-placed blow to the face. Time slowed down to the pace of an extremely lax snail as Calawarner closed the distance between her and the brown-haired man. I can do this. I can do this. I can ... Why is my face wet? Reality and time seemed to snap back into their perfect places as Calawarner found herself standing over the very headless, very dead corpse of the brown-haired thug. A quick examination of her bloody, organ-splattered fist and face was enough for her to draw the obvious explanation. Holy shit ... Did I just punch him so hard that his head exploded? Calawarner took one last look at the corpse's slightly steaming neck. The rush of adrenaline propelled her arms upward as a hushed celebration passed through her lips. I'm fucking awesome. The XD. Later that night. This feels like a trap. Kaneko frowned as she responded to Issei's statement. We've been here for less than 20 minutes. There's no way you could know this already. Issei smirked as he checked his watch. Actually, we've been here for 22 minutes, so you're already wrong on that account. Kiba quickly stepped in between the pair as he noticed Kaneko gritting her teeth. Whether it's been 20 or 22 minutes, I do have to agree with Kaneko. I find it hard to believe that you've already determined the nature of this household in such a short period of time. What exactly led you to that conclusion? The trio of Kiba, Issei, and Kaneko were currently on stakeout duty. Their target was a home located in the upper-middle-class Kyoto suburbs. The well-built two-story house had been bought 18 months ago by what seemed to be an energetic Christian couple who had relocated from Europe who had moved to Japan for unknown reasons. Rias believed that they were rogue exorcists who were causing trouble to the different devil factions in Kyoto, primarily the Gremory. Oh, trust me, I know a trap when I see one. Rias believes that these two are the ones killing your clients. Kiba sighed. Issei had still not answered his question. The blonde swordsman decided to play along for now. Rias had entrusted him with the role of peacekeeper after all. He was to make sure that Kaneko and Issei didn't kill each other, or at best they'd at least wait until the mission was over. Yes, 2 of our clients have been killed in the past 3 weeks. Lots of blood, gore and limbs. Several ancient Christian symbols and texts were drawn on their walls in their own blood. Definitely the work of rogue exorcists. This is a serious matter for us. Issei nodded. Yes. If word gets out that the Gremory can't protect their clientele, people will either move on to another clan or stop making contracts with the devils altogether. Can't have that at all. We absolutely sure that we're not picking a fight with legitimate exorcists. Kaneko cracked her knuckles. The God of the Church especially condemns the unnecessary murder of humans. They believe more in saving them from our evil ways. The murder of our clients is almost certainly the work of rogues. Issei's brow furrowed. I see. I guess we should come up with a plan then. Kiba decided to interject. We're still not absolutely sure that these aren't innocent civilians. Issei's face reflected surprise as he turned to Kiba. You mean you haven't noticed? Wow, you guys are more inexperienced than I thought. Kaneko rolled her eyes. Are you going to tell us or not? It's simple really. Look at them. They're eating dinner in the dining room, right? Both Kiba and Kaneko nodded. The male devil decided to speak. I don't see anything out of the ordinary with that. The large dining room has windows, very large windows. Remember how the husband opened the blinds just before setting the table. Kaneko nodded. Today, not one of them has looked out of the window since then. On habit, most humans tend to look out the window, especially when we are eating near one. What are the chances that none of them have that quirk? Kiba narrowed his eyes. That's a good point, but it still doesn't mean that. I wasn't finished. Also, take note of the fact that they're both eating at the same pace. There's always someone who eats faster than average or someone who eats slower. They're up to something. Of course, those little shits know that we're here. Kaneko shook her head. This rune that the president gave us is supposedly very good at masking magical and spiritual energies as long as we don't use our powers. Guess the wife is a really good censor then. She's the one giving them the information. Just a few moments ago, she gave the husband 3 helpings of mashed potatoes. He took a few moments to stare at it before digging in. Kiba's eyebrows arched. You think ... they're communicating through their food? Issei nodded. Would make sense. This is my best guess though. If it is a trap, there's only thing we can do. Kaneko retorted. And that is? Issei smirked. Spring it. DXD. Donosik paused his conversation with Middle as he felt his phone vibrating in his pocket. The fallen angel glanced at the smartphone screen before looking at his partner. It's the priest. I'll put him on speaker. Middle nodded as he answered the call. Donosik and Middle here. Something to report on your end. Yay, those shitbags we hired actually proved themselves to be useful. Middle spoke up. Oh, how so? We got visual confirmation today that Asia is still in QO. Donosik smirked. That's good. What else do we know? Not much. The specific guy who snapped her picture and passed it on has been missing in action since. His colleagues are combing the city for him, but I suspect he may very well be dead. Remember that brown-haired kid I saw with Asia? I think he's protecting her. I think he wants to keep her for her powers. He sounds strong. Can you and the rest of the exorcists handle him on your own? We could send some more of our brethren to assist. Yay, sure, why not? As much as fighting that shit stain sounds fun, capturing the nun comes first. I have a plan to get her without figging anybody. Oh, and what's that? It's almost if they could hear Selzen smirking on the line. Instead of going to her, we'll get her to come to us. DXD. You 3 do remember when I said that this mission was mostly of an observatory nature, correct? Kiba, Kaneko and Issei all looked at each other before the blonde-haired swordsman answered. Yes. So why do I have reports of a large explosion in the QO suburbs in a house that was literally burnt to the ground? Issei spoke. Well, it was a trap. A trap. They knew you were there. Kaneko nodded. Yes, Madam President, we believe they did. The runes I gave you was supposed to keep your presences hidden as long as you didn't use your powers. How were you guys so sure? Issei smiled. Well, you see, it all started with those helpings of mashed potatoes. Rias blinked. What? Kiba quickly stepped in. What Issei is trying to say is that they were displaying rather odd behavior. It was so odd that we decided that we should take the risk and actually see if the targets were indeed rogue exorcists. I see ... and what did you find? Issei spoke again. I volunteered to be the bait as most of their countermeasures were more than likely designed to harm devils. Rias nodded. Sensible deduction. So you snuck in? Nope. I knocked on the front door. You what? Kaneko shrugged. We thought it was idiotic too. Anyways, I knocked at the door. When they answered, I introduced myself as an ambassador of the Gremory and asked to be let inside. Rias was in a bit of disbelief. And ... that worked. The moment I entered the house, they activated some kind of barrier that I assume was effective against devils. I pretended to be affected while they interrogated me about the city, the academy, the Gremory, and our allies. I only told them enough to keep them interested. Akino took the opportunity to add her own comment. It's very possible that they're a Reconnaissance group. It's no secret that the rogue exorcists have been targeting several devil strongholds all over Europe and Asia. Issei nodded. I agree with Akino-senpai. When they were finished with their questions, the husband attempted to kill me with some kind of blessed axe, but I easily overpowered him. Once the wife realized that I certainly wasn't a devil and they were hopelessly outmatched, she activated a very detailed seal array on the walls. She called the technique Ashes of Gomorrah. Each member of the Gremory peerage flinched as Rias spoke. That's a rather powerful technique. Legends say that it uses magical power to summon the very same fire that the God of the Bible used to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah ... That would explain why the house burned down, but that technique isn't supposed to harm the users. It didn't. Ddraig saw their technique as a challenge and followed the words of the ancient saying, fight fire with fire. The bright red eagle-sized dragon's voice could be heard from the far side of the room where he was busily and greedily consuming Akino's freshly baked chocolate cookies. That technique was right, but their fire was nothing close to what he did to Sodom and Gomorrah. I found the pale imitation insulting. Very insulting. I showed them what real fire felt like. I care not if any of you have taken issue with this. None of the room's occupants questioned the dragon's decision or his authority. Rias swallowed heavily. Ooh, right. I guess that's the end of that. Good job in eliminating our enemies while making it known that the Gremory will have vengeance on all those that seek to harm us. Issei folded his arms. One problem with that, boss. They aren't the ones that killed your clients. The red-haired devil frowned. What? How can you be sure? Issei shrugged. It's a feeling I got while they were interrogating me. Just as Akino-senpai said that team's specialty was in espionage and intel gathering, they were not an execution squad. I barely sensed any bloodlust even while they were trying to kill me. The individuals responsible for the death of your clients are not only trained killers but people who enjoy doing it. Akino placed a finger under her chin as she contemplated Issei's observations. If Issei-kun is correct, then we still have quite the situation on our hands. Issei riposted. The news of tonight's events will more than likely cause our culprits to go into hiding for a little while until things calm down. They are in devil territory after all. We need to find them before they start killing again. Rias folded her hands below her chin. Then we'll just have to use our time wisely. Thank you for your assistance tonight, Issei. I look forward to our ongoing venture together. Likewise, if you would please excuse us. Come on, D-Drag, if we leave Rere-chan alone for too long she gets super cranky. The feelings of that immature fallen angel are no priority of mine. We're meeting her at that burger place you like. I'm ready, partner. Of course you are. Ria's peerage watched the exchange with interest as D-Drag refused with Issei as he collected his belongings and left. The Gremory clan heiress herself exhaled slowly as the door clicked behind the brown-haired youth. As Lucifer is my witness, Issei Hudu, you will be a member of my peerage one day. The XD. Issei blinked several times as he examined the contents of the dumpster behind the city's botanical gardens. Why is there a headless body in here? After a short rendezvous with Rainier, the Sacred Gear user originally planned to head home until he had received a text message from Calla Warner asking him to meet her at the garden's back exit. This was certainly not what Issei had expected. The blue-haired amnesiac blushed heavily as she looked away. I punched his head and it exploded so I hid the body here. Nice. Calla Warner smiled nervously. I didn't mean to do it. Oh, I guess Rere needs to teach you about how to control your strength. Yay, that would be best. Issei refocused on the headless body, taking special time to study the clothes, shoes and grooming of the corpse. These clothes and shoes aren't cheap. His watch is also rather nice, not the most expensive brand but still pretty pricey. He's no ordinary thug. What's the story? Had a feeling that me and Asia were being followed. Caught this guy watching her and confronted him after he took a picture with his phone. Issei twitched as his fists folded. He was watching Asia. Where's the phone he used? Calla Warner sighed as she produced the smartphone from her pocket. It fell when I punched him, the screen's all cracked and everything. Perhaps we could get someone to check the contents. Issei nodded as he took the phone. I'll have someone look into it. Anything else you remember? He mentioned something about Asia being worth a lot of money. It has to be about her powers. That is the sensible conclusion. I was hoping that the feeling I got from a few days ago was someone watching me and not her ... but it seems I was wrong. Could it be the church trying to locate her? Based on what you and her have told me, it doesn't seem like they are the ones that approved her trip to this city. Anything's a possibility. I'm going to look into it myself. Make sure to stay with Asia as much as possible without her getting suspicious. We don't need to have her worrying. Thanks for letting me know about this. Calla Warner shrugged. Perhaps in my former life I would have dealt with this easily, but in my current state I have to rely on you, plus Asia trusts you and your family wholeheartedly. Issei smiled. I won't betray her trust. I won't allow anyone to harm her. Rest assured. Let's go home. Knowing her, she's probably up waiting on us. The XD. The next morning, Raina groaned as several rays of sunlight slowly crept through her window and began their assault on her beautiful face. The raven-haired fallen angel slowly pulled the sheets over her head as she cursed herself for the previous night's activities. Did I really have to try all of that bar's different vodkas? Geez, I'm convinced hangovers were designed to punish fallen angels. A very familiar voice spoke up. There's a pitcher of water and a glass on your nightstand along with some toast and crackers. That should help somewhat. There's also a towel in your freezer in case your headache gets worse. Thanks, Issei. I really appreciate. Issei. The man in question smiled as he sat down on the bed next to Rainier. Yes, dear. Why are you in my apartment? Better question, how did you know that I live here? Was this place supposed to be a secret? I apologize. If it makes you feel any better, D-Drag had to help me find the place. Rainier slowly pulled down the covers, wincing as the sunlight once again made contact with her eyes. I'm too tired to deal with this. What do you want? I came to ask you for a favor, but I don't think you're fully competent right now. I'll talk to you later at school. Rainier sighed. Good. Please leave before I lose any sanity I have left. Oh, before I go. Rainier did not like the way Issei was smiling. What? I've decided to work along with your plan. My ... plan. Yes, your plan to keep me protected at Kuo Academy from all of the mysterious girls there. Having rampant sexual encounters would have been nice, but would have also presented several possible threats to my safety and well-being, and because you realized that you sabotaged my chances. Very wise move on your part. Rainier did not like this at all. So I've decided to play the role of your fiancé as to validate your story in the eyes of the school populace. You ... what? We'll have to eat lunch, flirt, hold hands, hug, and maybe if that's not enough. Rainier suddenly felt very self-conscious as Issei leaned his face closer to hers. An extremely rosy pink plastered itself on her cheeks as his lips drew near to hers. Her mind was racing forward at incredible pace. What's he doing? What's he doing? His lips look so soft. Oh God, does my breath stink? Should I ask him to wait until I freshen up? What the fuck is wrong with me? Ishouldn't be thinking like this. Rainier tried to sound strong, but her voice came out like a soft whimper instead of a strong inquiry. What are you doing? Issei smirked as he pulled away and stood up. Nothing at all. I'll see you later, Ray-chan. Please remember to drink your water and get some food in your stomach. Rainier could only nod dumbly as Issei jumped out of her now open window and climbed down her fire escape. What the fuck just happened? Unknown to the fallen angel at the time, beside the pitcher of water on her nightstand was a small note written by Issei himself. It was 2 little words that held great meaning and power. A few minutes later she would rise from bed and find the note and read it before launching into a profanity-laden rant about troublesome brats and non-existent feelings. The 2 words were simply these. Checkmate, darling. I'm beginning to notice a very worrisome pattern, Hyudu-san. Issei smiled innocently as he relaxed into the plush leather chair being offered to him. Oh, and what would that be, Sona-senpai? Sona adjusted her glasses. The entirety of the student council and a few members of the disciplinary committee were now seated around the room with Issei and Rainier tucked into the very middle. Almost every time I get a report that there is something strange, irrational, perverse, or overly dramatic happening on our academy grounds, you are heavily involved. Issei shrugged. I believe that my real problem is that I'm often in the wrong place at the wrong time. I can assure you that most of these situations are mere coincidences. Sona arched her eyebrow. The food fight 2 months ago was not a coincidence. True, but to be fair, the lunches did taste horrible on that day. A few of the ingredients were certainly spoiled. It's not like we wasted any good food. And I didn't start the war, I only made sure I won it. Quite a few of us did help with the cleaning of the cafeteria after we were done, did we not? Sona continued, ignoring Issei's response completely. There are also several reports of you, Matsuda-gen and Madohama Shinya, spying on the respective female sports teams while they are changing. Quite a few of those reports were either rumors or misunderstanding. What about those instances that weren't rumors or misunderstandings? We've never hidden our appreciation for the feminine form. We only observe those who have given us permission or don't mind at all. Some of Kyo's females are rather delighted to have our attention and hear our compliments. If we've done the opposite in the past, we have apologized and discontinued those activities. Still doesn't mean that you 3 should be simply pardoned for prior offenses. True, but will you also properly discipline those who constantly sexually harass and attempt to peep on Kibayudo and the other males deemed as hot and dreamy? If not, wouldn't there be an obvious case of gender bias? Sona grimaced as she noticed that 3/4 of the room's female population blushed and looked away. Dear Lucifer, is everyone at this school some kind of closet pervert? Just ensure you're not bothering or sexually harassing anyone anymore. Issei's innocent smile made a comeback. We'll do our best, senpai. That leaves us with our current situation. May I have a few moments with Hyudu-kun and Amano-chan, alone please? This matter is rather delicate and I wish to keep it as private as possible. The room emptied rather quickly, with Issei looking from side to side while stroking his chin. No objections from the disciplinary committee. No calling for my head on a nicely decorated pike. I didn't even sense you using mind manipulation magic on them. Very impressive work. Sona shook her head. That's because I didn't. Magic isn't the only way to control people, Issei-kun. Issei grinned. It seemed that Sona was far more interesting than he gave her credit for. So I see. So I do see. So what can we do for you? Sona sighed heavily as she leaned back into her chair. Well, the school board wanted me to lay down a few ground rules about what levels of public displays of affection will be acceptable on school grounds or while you're wearing your uniforms in the city. You are the academy's first engaged student couple, after all. Which I might add was a rather dumb ploy even for you, Issei-kun. Issei shrugged. Don't look at me, it was her idea. Sona actually blinked a few times in surprise before glancing over at Rainier, who was being unusually quiet. Rainier-sen, what possessed you to do something like this? The fallen angel blushed as she could feel that Sona would not continue the conversation without an answer. She could have just dismissed the bespectacled devil girl's question, but it wouldn't be wise to insult a future clan heir on devil territory. One of my duties is to protect Issei from all threats. The girls at this academy are mostly human but could still be allied with other spiritual factions. Since it is beyond obvious that this brat is a moronic pervert. Hey, I'm not a moron. I fear that our enemies would use it against him and seek a fake relationship to gain information and possibly attempt to control, harm, or assassinate him. Sona blinked again before speaking. You mean like what you tried to do in the past? Rainier's blush grew to a darker shade of red as she turned to Issei. Did you have to tell everybody about that? The brown-haired male smirked. It's a great icebreaker at meetings and social gatherings. Rainier glared at Issei for a few seconds before turning her attention back to Sona. Exactly. Due to the fact that I had some level of success with that very same plan, I thought it wise to lower the possibility of another person having equal or greater success. Issei did say that the women at Kyo respected relationships. Sona nodded slowly. Quite an interesting strategy, indeed. Yes, Issei is correct. It's an unspoken rule among our academy that a male in a relationship is off limits. If there are any female spies from the other factions here, they'll certainly seek other avenues to get to Issei, which could make it easier to identify them. It is also in our best interest to keep him safe. Reina quietly sighed in relief as Issei turned to Sona. Is this because I'm a Kyo Academy student or? Sona shook her head. The devil clans linked to Kyo have all heard of the work you're doing with the Gremory clan. Lending your power to them is in reality playing a part in stabilizing this territory and our interests. We hope to have your support for as long as possible. We are also aware that other groups may seek to either recruit or eliminate you. We do all that we can to keep our allies safe. Issei nodded. I see. Since this is the case, do you mind if I ask another favor of you? Sona leaned forward. These continuous favors may come at a cost, Issei-kun. Issei nodded. If you're talking about your sacred gear user, I wouldn't mind helping he or she get a better understanding of their powers. I'm no expert, but I'll do my very best to help if you grant my request. Sona gasped. How did you, educated guess? The day I saved you guys from that fallen angel's kamikaze attack, you spent most of the time analyzing my sacred gear from a distance. Ria-senpai often asks questions about the boosted gear that seem rehearsed more than thought of. I doubt you're an enthusiast like Azazel, so I suspected you had a sacred gear user in your clan or peerage that you've wanted help with. Kind of like the kid that Rias has locked up in the old clubhouse. Sona frowned. Being transparent to her best friend was one thing, being transparent to a strange ally was another. She had a far way to go before she could lead the Citri clan. I see. Yes, in a nutshell that would be the case. Cool. Help me out again and I'll let you know when I can start training him or her. You're sure that you can help? I know that you're powerful, but I've never seen you instruct anyone. Of course I can help. Most people I've taught normally improve quite rapidly. Issei whispered the next few words carefully. After almost dying the first few times. Excuse me, what was that last part? Nothing. So right, I need you to get another friend of mine registered at this school. Reina furrowed her brows at Issei's request. Who else could he be trying to? Oh no, Sona sighed. The paperwork will be rather irritating, but if these are your conditions, then I'll agree. What are the details? Her name is Asia Argento. Raina's grip on her chair's arm tightened. Sona narrowed her eyes. Wait, Asia Argento, the holy healer, the excommunicated nun. She's here in Kuo, and you want to bring her here? Issei winced. Yeah. Are you crazy? The church will be searching everywhere for her, and if they find her here, they'll assume that one of the devil clans in this territory took her. Issei leaned back into the plush chair with a sigh. Why does everyone think that I'm super irresponsible and immature? Raina folded her arms. Because you act like it. Hey, but aren't you mystical entities supposed to be able to read humans like super easy? Not when they are as annoying as you. Point taken. Sona did not like that she was being ignored. As I was saying, this school has been left in my care. I will not needlessly endanger it by. Issei cut Sona's rant short. It won't be in any danger, at least not from the church. Sona shook her head in disbelief. And how would you be so sure? I've been in contact with some of the church's higher authorities. They've agreed to lend Asia to me for some time. In return, I'm supposed to help them with a few things. The statement was enough to trigger silent stares of awe from both of the room's female occupants. Reina herself was not sure of what to fully make of this. Asia Argento is a very powerful, very gifted sacred gear user. Despite her status of being an outcast, the church had spent precious time and resources to keep her safe and out of the public eye. How did Issei convince them to lend her to him? And who were his contacts in the church, and how did he even reach them? Was it Azazel-sama that was helping him? Who are you, Issei Hudo? Where's the 16-year-old pervert that I profiled a few weeks ago? Sona posed a question. Will she be an aid to you on the missions handed to you by Rias? Issei shook his head. No, of course not. It's just that she spent most of her life locked away in convents in safe houses. I thought she deserved to live a little, experience life, you know. Isn't that what her religion preaches? A few years in high school wouldn't be that bad for her, right? I do understand the sentiment, but please also consider that as a school run by devils, with several devils attending, admitting such a devout Christian like her will surely cause schisms. She'll be on her best behavior and she won't be going around trying to sanctify the entire place. The most she'll do is bless her own food. I will take responsibility if things get out of hand. Wasn't I hearing that all the major factions want to have a ceasefire of sorts? Having a Christian and a fallen angel here would do wonders for the inter-faction relationships, wouldn't it? Sona remained silent for a few seconds before directing her question at Issei. You seem desperate to lure her in. Why? Issei's face slowly lost all emotion. He wouldn't lie to Sona. Not about this. He respected her too much for that. She's being followed. I'm not sure who it is or what their intentions are. But I have a message for them. Sona and Reina remained silent, expressing their curiosity without uttering a word. Asia Argento is an innocent. She deserves to be happy, free and in control of her own destiny. Those who wish to challenge that will only be signing their own death warrants. It doesn't matter who they are or what group they belong to. D-Drake's fire can turn anything or anyone into ash. And they can come find that out personally. The XD. Matsuda Gen, the bald-headed member of Kyo's perverted trio, stood relaxed as he perfectly executed several practiced kendo stances and moves that he had recently learnt while attending the club meetings. In time they would be nothing but second nature to him. Must you make all of that racket? I am trying to get some work done, you know. Matsuda smirked confidently. I doubt you'd understand, Madohoma. A true kendo master spends hours in the dojo perfecting the basics. If I want to reach that level, I must be diligent in my training. Trust me, I understand perfectly. However, you are not in a dojo, you're in my bedroom, and that's not a kendo shinai you're holding, that's my broom. Now please put it down before you stab me in the eye or even worse break one of my windows. Matsuda frowned as he acquiesced to his friend's request, placing the aforementioned broom in a corner before taking a seat on the bed. You're the one who promised that we could run a few laps around the park today after school. Madohoma sighed as he turned his attention back to his laptop. The program on its screen was almost finished running. Yes, and we will go. I just have to finish this up for Issei first. Matsuda's expression perked up. Oh, what's that traitorous bastard been up to? He isn't asking you to design his wedding invitations, is he? Madohoma snorted rather loudly. No, nothing of the sort. Today after physics class, he handed me this crushed phone and asked me to check it out for any valuable information. Matsuda scratched his chin as he took note of the phone that was now connected to his friend's computer via several USB cables. You making any progress? Madohima nodded. Yup, just waiting on my program to break through the encryption and ... I see. Matsuda got up and moved closer to the laptop screen. The data being displayed was a little too jumbled for him to understand. What is this? Personal information of the guy that owned this phone. The data plan he's on requires the cell company to keep a regularly updated record. Anything interesting on there? Madohoma's fingers blazed across the keyboard as several other dialog boxes and prompts flashed across the screen. Just a few contacts, no music, no special apps ... Must have been a work phone ... Him, pictures. Suddenly the screen was filled with several pics of a blonde-haired nun in different parts of Kyoto. Matsuda narrowed his eyes. What the hell? This guy have a nun fetish or something? Wait, isn't this in Kyoto? You think whoever had this phone was stalking that nun? Madohoma bit his lip before answering one of his best friends. I have no idea. Something seems very suspicious about this. The bespectacled young man quickly started typing again. His actions were enough to draw a question from Matsuda's lips. What are you doing this time? Sending a compilation of all the information I've found to Issei. He'll know what to do. If he needs our help, I'm sure he would tell us. Matsuda nodded. As much as the both of them would insult and berate Issei in public over his betrayal of the perverted way, there was nothing that could truly destroy their bond of friendship. Madohoma sighed as he stood up. Okay, I'm done. Let's run those laps. How much was it? 5. Matsuda grinned. Considering that you've made us start late, we're gonna run 10 laps and then do the full cardio insanity workout. Madohoma paled. Damn you, Issei, damn you to hell. Matsuda, please be gentle. DXD. Rainer studied the small vial of crystal clear liquid in her hand with great scrutiny. Her thoughts would finally be converted to words. This is it. Sitting beside her was a short black-haired man in a very expensive suit. His physical features were mostly ordinary with the exception of his eyes. His irises were a very shiny purple. That's what you paid for. A memory-restoring elixir. The ailing individual only needs to put a strand of their hair into the mix before drinking it, and their memories will surely be restored over a short period of time. Rainer frowned. I was hoping for a more instantaneous effect. The man chuckled. There are recipes for elixirs like that out there on the market, but the results aren't always favorable. The mind is a rather fickle thing after all. Or perhaps you were willing to take the risk. Rainer grimaced. No, that's fine. I trust that the details of our business together will be kept private. My prices are exuberant for several reasons, Fallen. Not only am I one of the best, I'm one of the few that knows how to keep a secret. Rainer nodded as she stood. Good, I will be taking my leave then. The chemist leaned forward, a very dark smile etched on his face. About that human who's been watching us for the past few minutes. For a rather small price I could take care of her for you. Rainer turned her attention to the other side of the food court where a rather plump mature woman sat silently enjoying a slice of cheesecake while reading a lifestyle magazine. That won't be necessary, she is the servant of an ally. She probably spotted me and wanted to relay a message. Ah, such a shame. I have a new poison I've been dying to use. Perhaps the next time we do business. Rainer turned around to respond to the chemist's inquiry but found his chair empty with no sight of him in the surroundings. Chemists are so creepy. The black-haired fallen angel quickly pocketed the vial before walking over to the plump woman's table. As she drew closer, the woman started to talk to a nearby patron. Did you hear? The German actress from that old soap opera has to become a vegetarian because of her illness. I hear those food items can be rather pricey and hard to find in this region. She never had any intention of speaking to the woman or stopping by her table. Why would she need to? The message had been received. DXD. Thanks again for helping me out, Asia. It's no problem at all, Issei-kun. God gave me this ability so I could provide healing and comfort for all of his children. I'm only fulfilling my mission. Issei only chuckled as Asia's glowing green hands continued to slowly move all over his back in small circular motions as by Issei's instruction. The silence between them only lasted for a few more seconds before Asia spoke again. Issei-kun. Yeah, if you don't mind me asking ... what kind of disease is this? You're the first person I've ever had to heal more than once. Issei took a deep breath before speaking. To be honest, I'm not completely sure. All I can say for now is that it's slowly killing me, and your powers not only provide plenty of relief but also suppresses it. I am working on a permanent cure though. I don't intend to have to rely on you or another healer to keep me alive. Asia nodded as she ensured that she didn't lose her concentration. As long as the church allows me to stay here with you, I'll heal you whenever you want. No one deserves to suffer, especially a kind person like you. Issei smiled again. Thank you, Asia. I do believe your words are wasted on me though. I'm not as heroic as you believe me to be. Jesus said in the book of Matthew that you can tell a lot about a person by their fruits, the physical manifestation of their characteristics. You are by no means perfect, only God is ... but I do believe you are a good person, Issei-kun. And if there's anything I can do to help you cure your disease, just let me know. Issei considered Asia's response for a few moments before replying. I guess I just have to try to live up to your praises, Asia. Would hate to disappoint someone who has so much faith in me. Very good. Does this mean you won't make fun of Rainier-san and others anymore? BFFFT. Not a chance. Asia shook her head, her eyes bubbling with mirth. I suppose some miracles only come by praying and fasting. Best of luck with that. Ting-ling-ting. Issei redirected his attention to the smartphone in his hand and especially the new message it had just received. His eyes quickly scanned some of the information before he typed out a quick response. THNKS Moto, I'll meet you guys at the spot on XTWK. Tell Mats to stop wanking so much or he'll go even balder. That will be enough, Asia. Again, me and Lizzie have your gratitude. Asia giggled as Issei stood up and stretched his limbs. Does the legendary Red Dragon Emperor really allow you to call him that? It's just like with you and Calla Warner. You still prefer to call to her Esther despite knowing her real name. It's a name given out of love and admiration. Like hell it is. Having you call me this ridiculous name is embarrassing, partner. You know Asia, I'm sure he wouldn't mind if you call him that too. You are a part of the family after all. Asia's eyes sparkled. Really? Issei nodded. Yup. Oh no you fucking don't. Come on Lizzie, how could either of us say no to Asia and her big green eyes? Knowing her she'd actually find a way to make it sound dignified. I am gonna burn you alive one day. Promises. Promises. DXD. Without hesitation, the vast majority of the mystical community would easily regard themselves as superior to their human counterparts living on Earth. They were more powerful. They were far more intelligent. Their lifespans were often incomparable. In many cases, the citizens of the mystical landscape even considered humans morally bankrupt and would describe themselves as nobler beings. But despite all of their claims to supremacy, there were a few things that humanity had been credited for. One such trait was their ability to invent, adapt, and innovate. A case in point would be the internet. All one needed was a working connection, a compatible device, and a few keywords, and they could find information of all types on the broadest of categories. Cat videos, celebrity gossip, the weekend weather, soccer results, more cat videos, conspiracy theories, German health food stores that have a branch somewhere in Japan. The previously mentioned category was what Rainier had searched for. The beautiful raven-haired fallen angel now sat cross-legged on the floor as she scanned her laptop screen for the result that suited her need. The code given by the plump woman in the restaurant was keywords needed to find a business place that also doubled as a Grigori base. Grigori agents often started business ventures as a cover for safe houses, storage facilities, and most importantly communication hubs. A communication hub was a network wherein agents could easily re-establish contact with each other if they had to separate unexpectedly. Rainier's eyes read line after line before pausing at a specific name. A small smile tugged at her lips before she clicked on the website link and went to their contact page. Cheeky bastards. The small smile grew a little bigger as she dialed one of the company's phone numbers into her phone. A few seconds of ringing passed before the phone was answered by an energetic-sounding young lady. Hello, Garden of Eden Health Store. How can I help? This is Madam Moonstone. I wish to speak with Lady Topaz. There was an awkward silence, and just for a moment Rainier had believed that she had been mistaken. However, the next few words would calm her fears. The young energetic female responded smoothly. Transferring your call, please hold. Rainier sighed in relief as the phone dialed out for a few more seconds before being answered again. This time the voice was not of a human but of Middelt. Rainier, hey, it's me. Holy crap, one of my servants must have spotted you, huh? Yeah. Passed on the message rather smoothly too. When did you have this business set up? A few months ago. You can never have too many communication hubs. You know what I mean. Oh wait, let me put you on speaker. Donna Seek's here. Author's note. Donna Seek will be bold italic. Middle will be italic. Rainier will be normal text. Rainier, good to hear from you. How are things on your end? Rainier sighed heavily. Well, good news first. I found Calla Warner alive. Oh? Was she also in hiding? Nope, she was hanging with our target, Asia. She's located the target. Strange. Normally Calla Warner would report something like that. That's the thing. She wasn't her normal self. She has amnesia. How the hell did she get amnesia? She forgot how to fly and crash-landed head first. Rainier sighed again. Now for the bad news. We have to find a new target. Asia is now off limits. What? You must be joking, Rainier. No joke. Remember that kid Azazel set me as guard over Issei Hudu. He apparently blew Calawainer away with one attack and caused her amnesia. Not only that, but he has placed Asia Argento under his own protection. No way. With one attack. I knew the boosted gear was strong, but has it improved that brat's power and skill so easily? Have you found a way to help Calawainer? I got an elixir from a chemist. She should be good in a few days' time. More importantly, I'm still failing to understand why we have to shift our focus from Asia. As I said before, she's under Issei's protection. That doesn't mean she's untouchable, and he is only human, powerful sacred gear or not. I understand you may not want him to get harmed since your mission is to protect him, but we have a plan to get her out of Kuo without having to fight anyone. Trust me, it's not him I'm worried about. If he finds out, I'm sure he'll kill all of us, including me. That's if he finds out at us. We've dealt with powerful beings before, Rainier. This wouldn't be the first time we did some strategic relocation of resources. Yes, I know, but this is different. I agree, this is different. Many persons have assisted us in getting this machine to Japan for the sole purpose of us testing it out on a rare sacred gear user, and our friends in the church are waiting in great anticipation to hear the results of our experiment. What will we tell them? We find another sacred gear user that's powerful enough to appease them. It may take time, but the continent alone is ripe with them. It's the none that they want, Rainier. We all know that. They didn't use all of this resources so they could be told no. This isn't up for discussion, Middleton Donasik. I am ordering you to leave Asia Argento alone. We're not your lackeys, Rainier. When we joined up we were told we would be partners. Yes, but the last I checked, the majority of resources and connections within our group are exclusively mine. So let's say I'm head partner and I will call the shots. Our mission is to help the Grigori stronger in every sense of the word and to make Azazel-sama proud. Not to endanger it by picking fights we can't win. Our friends in the church and elsewhere are secondary to that objective. There was a few moments of silence before Donasik answered. I see. You do make some good points. I suppose we will have to start the search for new candidates. Who knows how long our allies will be patient for. Will we have your assistance, Rainier? I'll provide whatever assistance I can. So we agree on the decision to abandon our plans for Asia. Both Middleton and Donasik glanced at each other before the blonde fallen angel answered. As you said, Rainier, you're calling the shots. We will put our plans for the nun on hold for now. Good. I know that this was a hard decision for us to make, but I do believe it is the best one. Moonstone out. I'll re-establish contact within the next 2 weeks. Goodbye, Rainier. Later, Rainier. Tell Calawainer to hurry up and remember the money she owes me. Rainier snickered at Middleton's small joke. I doubt that's true, but I'm sure we'll know soon enough. Goodbye. The phone went dead as Rainier disconnected the call. Both Donasik and Middleton stood in silence for several seconds before the fedora-wearing fallen angel spoke up. Well, it seems that our plans to eliminate Rainier might have to be hastened. It will be easier once we acquire the Twilight Healing Sacred Gear. Who does that bitch think she is? She thinks her rank makes her better than us. I can't wait to see the look on her face right before we kill her. As much as I look forward to that as well, we have bigger fish to fry. Get in contact with the priest and the rest of our fallen comrades in Kuo. Tell them to move forward with Selzin's plan. That nun's sacred gear will be ours. The next morning, when Free received a text message from the fallen angels asking for him to accomplish his mission as soon as possible, he only laughed. Those flying fuckers had truly underestimated him yet again. He chuckled darkly as he fixed the collar of his newly cleaned priest uniform and made his way through the front doors of the building in front of him. A woman at the reception desk smiled brightly at him. Good morning, sir. Can I help you? A calm, friendly face and a smooth, soothing voice were the disguise of the rogue exorcist as he answered the woman's query. Yes, my child, you can. My name is Father Fried Selzin, a priest of the Christian Church. I am looking for one of my nuns. Her name is Asia Argento. I heard that she comes here with another woman. A volunteer, and not a Hudu. The nurse smiled brightly. Oh yes, I know them both. Splendid. Could you please guide me to where they are? Father Fried Selzin would have no problems finding his target. If there was one other place a man of God was welcome other than a church, wouldn't it be a hospital? The hospital. For many the institution represented hope. For others it meant healing. For some it stood for humanity helping their fellow man in their darkest hours. But in the horribly twisted, deranged and broken mind of Fried Selzin, hospitals embodied something else completely. They were all evidence of an absolute truth that he had discovered and accepted a long time. God does not care. The all-loving, eternal, omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent Father. The Holy One. The big man on the heavenly throne. The one that his instructors and colleagues would often rave about was nothing more than a selfish fraud. When he was just a child at the institute being trained to slay monsters in the name of the Lord, he had honestly believed that God just didn't exist. Fried thought of God and everything connected to him as a large collection of fairy tales woven by desperate and delusional humans who were absolutely terrified by the prospect of living in a world where humans had to solve their own problems, which included slaying the unbelievably powerful, menacing and grotesque monstrosities that roamed their planet. It all changed when for the red-eyed rogue exorcist when he saw his first angel. A heavenly messenger had descended to speak to one of his Vatican superiors while they were on a missionary journey in Argentina. He had been literally frozen in shock. The angel shared a glance filled with sorrow and worry with Fried before she departed. It was as if she had known the inner workings of his mind and the path he would walk. If angels really existed, then so did God. And that made it worse. It now became impossible for him to accept a God that allowed such large scales of destruction and suffering, who watched as devils, witches, and all other types of monsters literally ripped the human race apart. God obviously didn't care. Not about humanity. Not about him. Only about himself and those pigeon-winged fuckers. Fried Selzen had left the church not long after. He had decided that he would live how he wanted, doing whatever he wished to whoever he wanted. He was his own God now. He would not answer to anyone ever again. And that's why he liked hospitals. It was a constant reminder of why he chose his path. The people he pitied the most were those who thought that praying to God or their supposed deity of choice would change anything. They didn't care about humans, they never would. Excuse me, are you Father Selzen? Fried blinked in surprise as he turned around. His little mental tirade had obviously disconnected him from the outside world for a bit. He was told to stand outside a storage room while the nurse had went inside to retrieve Asia. His target finally stood before him, dressed in a pink uniform that had volunteer right at the front. Her bright green eyes shone with happiness. Asia was just glad to be meeting with another member of the church. Fried was busy admiring something else completely. Nobody mentioned that little Miss Healer was so fine. I wonder how upset the Fallen would be if I tapped that ass a few times. Fried quickly escaped the vortex of thought as he answered Asia. There was now another older woman standing behind the nun, also wearing a volunteer uniform. Yes, Sister Asia, I am Father Fried Selzen. I just started to serve a small congregation in Tokyo when I was informed of your situation here. It was brought to my attention that you were wrongly sent to this city when you should have been placed under my care. I sincerely apologize for any pain or misfortune we have caused you. It was not our intention. Asia smiled brightly. It was no trouble at all, Father. Even though a mistake was made, I was able to meet a lot of wonderful people who have been nothing but a blessing to me. Like Hinata-sama. Her family have been taking care of me ever since I got here. It is as if the Lord had intertwined our paths. Fried greeted Hinata with another plastic smile. The highest expressions of gratitude cannot express how thankful we are for what you've done for Asia and the church. Please email us an estimate on how much was spent during her time at your home and we shall repay it as soon as possible. Hinata waved her hand. There is no need, Father. My family helped Asia out of the goodness of our hearts. She's practically a part of us now. We need no reward or reimbursement. Fried nodded as Asia did her best to hide her smile and blush. Amazing, you truly are a virtuous woman. You say you want no reward, but I am sure the Lord has much reserved for you in his heavenly kingdom. Hinata bowed in respect. I suppose I'll have to accept that. Wouldn't want to turn down God. Fried chuckled. Indeed. Are there any nearby restaurants? I was hoping for Asia and I to have a private conversation over lunch. I doubt we will be back anytime soon. I hope you don't mind. Hinata shook her head. Of course not. Take your time. There's a nice bistro behind the hospital. The staff practically live there. You'd have to take the back exit though. Very well then. Let us go, sister. We have much to discuss. Asia nodded. I'll only be a moment, Father. I need to change out of the volunteer uniform. You can wait right here. Very well. Fried hid his devilish smirk as Asia disappeared into a nearby changing room. I've waited so long already. A few more minutes will definitely not hamper me from my mission. All good predators must be patient in order to claim their prey. DXD. Mariano de Rossi. The name was a barely recognized footnote on the pages of Earth's long, decorated and eventful history. Born in the late 14th century in a small Italian town called Tivora, son to poor Italian farmers that could neither read nor write. One would think they would simply walk the path before him and follow in their footsteps and also become a farmer. But Mariano was different. He wanted more, and he would get it. He heard whispers of a revolution happening in Florence. Society was changing, expanding their mental and emotional horizons. It was meant to be a rebirth. History books would later call it the Renaissance. Speaking of books, it was there that found his passion. Books were gateways to knowledge, ideas, beliefs, imagination, personalities, and ultimately the truth of the universe. It would make sense that he ultimately found himself working day and night at the largest library in Florence. As the janitor. However, with hard work and dedication, he was soon the head assistant to the chief librarian, which would have put him in pole position to be chief librarian himself one day. If he had not died after contracting the bubonic plague. But death was only a bridge to a fresh new beginning. Mariano one day suddenly found himself waking up, staring into the happy eyes of a red-haired woman. He recognized her as a patron who would often visit there to read the newest published works of Europe's sharpest minds. They had shared many evenings together discussing their passion for reading and knowledge. Her name was Nikoka Gremory, future heir of the Gremory clan and future great-grandmother of Rias and Milikas. She had revealed herself to be literally screamed with fright as he thought that she had resurrected him to eat his soul or something of the sort. That was certainly not the case, to her great amusement. He was being asked to live a life of servitude. He was to now be the newest worker in the legendary Gremory clan library. That was over half a millennia ago. Now he was no longer a fresh employee of the Gremory clan but now the library's chief official and one of the few outside of the Gremory bloodline that was trusted to tutor the clan heirs. Mariano always held a special soft spot for Rias. She often commented outside of his presence that he was her favorite tutor, not only because she was also a lover of books and knowledge, but because she looked so much like the woman that restored his life and given him such a grand assignment. Unfortunately, Nikoka had lost her life during the Great War, which left the proud Italian promising himself to do all he could to protect this clan and their legacy. His high sense of gratitude would allow nothing else. Mariano's time with Rias had been drastically shortened because of her duties in Kyo, but Mariano did not have to wait long to find his hands full with tutoring the young and energetic Milikas. On this occasion, however, Mariano was sitting in his office staring at a sheet of paper before him. Rias had given him a special mission. There was a young man, Issei. He was borrowing books. He was seeking knowledge. There was something he needed to know. Rias wanted to know what it was. It wasn't hard to figure out what someone was looking for based on the books they chose to read. Several centuries of experience had provided the ability to decipher the interests of others with just a glance at their reading material. He wrinkled his nose as he read the list that had been given to him by one of his assistants. These were the books that the young man had requested. Basic books about magic, history of the mystical and human worlds, encyclopedia of deities, chronicles of wars between factions. All interesting material, but no definite answer just yet. But in time, all truths become clear, acknowledged, and irrefutable. Mariano would just have to wait patiently. The interests of Issei would not be hidden from his master forever. The XD. Fried Selzen's mission was almost complete. Taking the hospital's south exit in the aim of making it to the bistro meant that they had to pass through some of Kyo's back streets and alleys. There was one in particular that would be the abduction point. It was normally a habitat for thieves or the homeless, but the hired thugs he had been working with should have cleared it by now. The plan was simple. Get Asia to walk through that specific alley. Knock her out near the end. Get her into black van that was parked right around the corner, which was out of sight. Simple, effective, foolproof. Or at least Fried thought it was foolproof. It was to his dismay that Asia, who was chattering happily about godly things and matters of the church, suddenly changed topics. Father, let's not walk on this road. What? Doesn't this road lead to the bistro? Yes, but Hinata-sama always warned me never to walk there. She says it's dangerous. The other path is longer but much safer. Fried bit his lip. He could tell that he would not convince Asia to walk down this street while staying in his character. There were still too many pedestrians walking past them for him to do anything too drastic. Basic threats and psychological warfare would have to do. He leaned forward to whisper into Asia's ear. Is Hinata an important person to you, Sister Asia? Asia seemed rather surprised and nervous. She responded to his whisper with one of her own. Of course, Father, she's like a mother to me. Very good. Do you wish to see anything bad happen to her? Of course not. Good. Friends of mine have kidnapped her from the hospital. If I don't call them soon, they will hurt her in the worst way. That won't happen as long as you cooperate. Asia's eyes widened. Who are you? Fried smiled. For once it wasn't the plastic smile of a fake preacher but the grin of a fiendish psychopath. Your worst nightmare. So choose, follow me down this road or bear the weight of being the one that caused harm to your mother. Asia's eyes slowly began to water. No, please don't hurt her. I'll do anything. Fried smirked. A simple lie told with the right words and passion will deceive even the sharpest of minds. Asia never stood a chance. Good, let's quickly go then. Asia nodded quickly as they turned down the aforementioned street. The plan was back in motion. His act had been broken, but it hardly mattered with victory within his literal grasp. He could see the final corner that led to his van. A sick smile spilled over his lips as he grabbed Asia by the arm and started to pull her along. This was probably one of the smoothest missions he had ever. Years of learning, practicing, fighting, surviving, and killing humans and mystical creatures alike had given Fried an extraordinary sense of awareness. He had attained a level that the majority of mankind would not even think possible, much less attempt to achieve. In one graceful motion, he jumped away from Asia while avoiding a very powerful kick that had been aimed for his head. His assailant's sneaker-clad foot easily crushed the concrete wall that had been left to take the blow intended for the rogue exorcist's skull. The shoe itself was now falling apart as a sign of how strong the attack was. Fried's eyes narrowed as he pulled out his sword, taking note of his enemy's features. Wait. Did he know her from somewhere? Wasn't this woman one of the fallen? Asia smiled happily as she looked at the woman with great hope. Esther. Calawarner stood rigid, her eyes full of rage as she stared at the former priest. Get the fuck away from my friend, you sick son of a bitch. The XD. I'm not sure I understand. Sona furrowed her brows as she looked up from the report on her desk. Her gaze was now fixed on her newly reincarnated pawn, Saji Genshiro. Did I say something that was difficult to comprehend? As I said before, I've asked Issei to assist you in your training. He's proven himself to be quite powerful and I believe you can learn much from him. Is there a problem? The blonde-haired boy had his own gaze fixed on a sheet of paper in front of him. Oh no, I understand all of that, senpai. It's just ... he gave you this. Hudo handed me an envelope this morning, told me to give it you and that only you could read the contents. There is supposed to be a task that will prepare you for his training. He says you will receive a new one when you complete the first task. Is it too intense? I could ask him to lessen the severity of the exercises if you wish. The green-eyed boy was now sweating and had a small blush on his face. Sona arched an eyebrow. Are you ill, Saji? Do you wish to see the school nurse? Did you eat too much breakfast again? No, I'm fine. It's just. Sona frowned. Saji, what is it? I am your king. You are my trusted pawn and servant. You should feel free to tell me what's on your mind. Saji remained silent for a few more seconds before exhaling loudly. You're right, senpai. I'm sorry for being so unsure. You have worked hard to get me this opportunity, so I have to do this. Please understand. Sona watched with interest as Saji took a very deep breath before speaking. Sona senpai. Your feet turn me on. I've only seen them a few times, like when we do laps in the pool, but my heart pounds whenever I see your cute little toes. One of my fantasies is for you to one day allow me to give you a sensual foot rub. I just had to let you know. Sona, in very un-Sona-like fashion, began to twitch. Saji remained silent for a few seconds before excusing himself from Sona's office in order to give her time to recover. A small groan escaped his lips as he took a final look at the first task on the list. Task 1. Inform Sona that you have a fetish for one of her body parts. Try to make it very convincing. This guy better be legit or I am so kicking his ass. The XD. Calla Warner was afraid, and she didn't know why. Her day had started with her drinking the potion that Rainier had gotten from that chemist, and soon enough a few of her memories were beginning to return. Faces, places, memories, the truth, the lies. Little by little the chains were connecting. She had decided to stop by the hospital to share the good news with Asia when she had been informed by Issei's mother that the blonde nun had gone on a lunch date with a handsome silver-haired priest. Her stomach lurched for reasons she couldn't comprehend. Her soul seemed to be pulling, begging, pushing, clawing at her mind to tell her what she needed to know. She quickly followed after the pair and soon found them walking through one of the town's back streets. Asia seemed worried and afraid. Was it because of this man? But then she caught a glimpse of his face, and her instincts went ballistic. He was dangerous. He was strong. He was a monster. He was evil. She didn't remember his name or whose side he was on, but her gut told her that it was wrong for Asia to be near him. She had hoped that a surprise attack would leave him headless, but he had dodged her kick rather easily. The blue-haired fallen angel glanced over at her friend, making sure not to keep her gaze off the priest for too long. You okay, Asia? I'm fine, but we have to get to Hinata-sama. They might hurt her if he doesn't report to them. Calla Warner's face reflected her confusion. I was just with Hinata-sama, Asia. She's fine. Asia sighed in relief before turning to Fried. You lied in order to control me. What kind of priest are you? The red-eyed lunatic merely shrugged. Just another sin to add to my very long list, I suppose. Calla Warner tensed her muscles. What do you want from my friend, scumbag? Fried smirked as he pulled another sword out of his cloak. Nothing much, maybe some head, a little anal. I hear that all nuns are screamers. Calla Warner attacked again out of anger. This time it was a punch aimed for the priest's chest. It all happened in the blink of an eye, but again the fallen angel could only frown as she realized she had only punched air. Asia gasped. Esther, your leg. Calla Warner looked down to see a very long gash running down her left leg. It didn't hurt much, but she could tell she was losing a decent amount of blood. She grit her teeth in annoyance. Bastard. Selzen's voice sounded like a mixture of a playful child and a lecturer. Yup, I'm sure of it. You're definitely a fallen. Not sure why you're protecting a member of the church, but it's not my job to find out. If you don't mind, I'll be taking the girl now. Calla Warner charged forward. No, you fucking won't. Fried smiled. Fallen angels, especially well-trained ones, were always a pain to fight against. They were fast, strong, and smart. This one was either severely inexperienced or somehow forgot how to fight. She wasn't even trying to use her holy spear or any spells. Had she been brainwashed by the enemy? The answer didn't matter right now. Their battle was over. Calla Warner attempted to tackle her sword-wielding foe in order to give Asia a chance to escape, but it was to no avail. A deep gash on her right shoulder was now testament to her failed attack. Her breathing suddenly felt extremely labored. Her vision was getting blurry. Had she already lost so much blood? No. It's almost as if. Drugs? Fried chuckled. The sword I'm using was laced with a drug specially concocted to weaken the angel factions. The creators haven't tested it on any righteous ones yet, but we know for sure that it works on the fallen just fine. Don't worry, it won't kill you, I think. Anyways, sweet dreams. Calla Warner attempted to utter a few crude words of disgust, but only a large sigh left her mouth as she fell forward, unconscious. Fried grinned as he passed the edge of his sword over his tongue, allowing him to taste Calla Warner's blood. Delicious. Reminds me of like watermelon Kool-Aid. Asia screamed. Esther. The blonde girl tried to run over to her friend, but her path was blocked by Fried. You really think I'm gonna allow you to go over there and heal her? Asia began to cry. Please, she's my friend. The rogue exorcist groaned. He hated crybabies. Does it look like I give a flying fuck? Come on. If you allow me to heal her, I'll come along quietly. Fried chuckled. Trying to make a deal, are we? Fine. Go ahead. Asia nodded as she pulled away from Fried and tried to rush to save her friend's life. She would only be able to take a few steps before a flash of pain at the back of her skull had her falling forward as she lost consciousness. Freed caught Asia before her face made contact with the pavement. He smirked as he flung her onto his shoulder. The van was right around the corner so no one would spot him or his package. Did she really believe he would have allowed her to heal her friend? How naive could she be? The XD. Saji tried to keep his mind clear as he walked into chemistry class. However, his traitorous brain would not stop replaying the events of his early morning meeting with his king. The twitching, the spaced-out look on her face. She was probably absolutely disgusted by his words. He would apologize soon as he completed these tasks and got his training started. He wanted to be stronger. He needed to be stronger to not only serve Sona with distinction but to also help her realize her dream. He only hoped she would one day forgive him and allow him to stand by her side. Just as the green-eyed boy was about to take a seat, he noticed another envelope on his chair. He glanced around the classroom to see if anyone was watching, but all his classmates seemed stuck in their own conversations. He slowly picked up the letter before pulling out the paper and reading it. Congratulations on completing the first task. Task 2. Write the correct measurements of Akakuriu on the blackboard in your homeroom. Good luck. Saji blinked 3 times. His next words came out as a barely audible whisper. What in the actual fuck? Later that day, Rainer casually took a large gulp of her chocolate milkshake before addressing the person sitting across from her at the pastry shop's table. Is there any particular reason you enjoy fucking with people, or is it that you're just a dick to everyone? Issei was about to take a bite of his donut but chose to answer the question first with one of his own. I take you out on a date to our favorite pastry shop and that's the first thing you ask me. Rainer rolled her eyes, the tiniest blush slightly staining her cheeks. Shut up, you little brat, this is not a date. Does that mean you'll pay for all the stuff you've ordered and stop sponging on me? Thought so. It is a date. I'm just playing along to the whole we are a couple bit. It isn't strange for a couple to go out for lunch. Rainer sighed. Fine, whatever. What was that question about anyways? The stuff that you have the Citri pawn doing. Seems rather strange. Issei puffed out his chest. I assure you that my methods always work. Soon that boy will be not only kicking ass but will have the girls chasing him down as he does it. Just like you. Oh, that's right, you don't have any girls chasing you. Issei frowned then pouted. The only reason I'm not face deep in Kyo Academy pussy right now is because of you. Rainer smiled. I know. Proudest mission moment ever. Issei returned her smile. Oh, I'm sure it is. Just so you know, next week I intend for us to start holding hands all around school. Rainer blinked. You're bluffing. You are so bluffing. Right. Issei's smile grew wider. We could go straight to the cheek-pecking stage. Rainer literally squeaked. Holding hands is fine. Issei chuckled again. Ting-ling-ting. Issei looked over at his cell phone with a questioning gaze. I wonder who could be texting me now. Must be your little devil girlfriend. She must want you to do some work today, Mr. Executioner. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were jealous. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you're just fucking with the Citri pawn and those tasks are complete bullshit. Issei only laughed as he opened the text message. Rainer decided to take another swig of her milkshake when she noticed Issei jump up from his chair. Hey, I'm not finished, it's still our lunchtime. Tell the redhead to wait. We have to go now. Rainer's eyes widened at Issei's panicked expression as he showed her the message on his screen. It was from Calla Warner. Sauce. Hospital Backstreet. Rainer was already out of the shop by the time Issei had put the phone into his pocket. Just a few seconds later, one of the waitresses would find an empty table with a half-eaten donut, a mostly finished milkshake, a fully paid bill, and a gracious tip. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.